die quicker. These are the bloodshot eyes of a killer. I put that on my flag. I'm going hard till I'm in that body bag. In the back of the cab with a brick in a duffel bag. Yeah, my pants sag. As soon as the gun back, we move on them as soon as they come in range. All grown ups to playing cops and robbers. Real cops, real guns, and real robbers. Yeah, I dream. Well, I'm wide awake. I might lose it all. That's the risk I take. Yeah, I dream. Well, I'm wide awake. Turn up the beat. I refuse to fade. Yeah, I dream. Well, I'm wide awake. I might lose it all. That's the risk I take. Yeah, I dream. Well, I'm wide awake. Turn up the beat. I refuse to fade. Yeah, I dream. He running out of options, swerving through the stop signs. Don't crack that cash, just a pastime. Black gun, black mask, get a 4-door G-Ride. Ooh, what it be like to live a G-life? All I know is sacrifice, long days, cold nights in the city where the dreams go to die. I'm puffing on the weed cause you gotta stay high. I'm sipping on the liquor cause the gangsta die quicker. These are the bloodshot eyes of a killer. I put that on my flag. I'm going hard till I'm in that body bag. In the back of the cab with a brick and duffel bag. Yeah, my pants sag. As soon as the gun's back, we move on them as soon as they come in range. All grown ups to playing cops and robbers. Real cops, real guns, and real robbers. Got me dreaming about a better way. Still this rap shit help me get away. Something that they can't take away. This shit'll still play, even when I'm in my grave. Yeah, speak the fucking law. Mr. Fist against the jaw.
Listen, when I'm done quicker than you go, you get pissed away for sure.
Yeah, I grind from the had to grind for my bread and butter. I'd rather die than let my family suffer. Fucking undercover. Like the God of Thunder. From the skips to the keys, you ain't done what I done. You ain't seen what I've seen. I keep me in the streets when I'm serving these fiends. Yeah, the gun so.
These are the ones with comments. I didn't have a keyboard. I'm gonna type all fucking day like this with a mouse.
Well, I'm wide awake. I might lose it all. That's the risk I take. Yeah, I dream. Well, I'm wide awake. Turn up the beat. I refuse to fade. Yeah, I dream. Well, I'm wide awake.
Yeah, the idiots don't start with me on Facebook because I can beat the keyboard on this. No, they want to talk there. They want to talk here where I can't type back. Fuck you.
Street combination, bringing it back to days of Parker Big made a statement. In the hood, ain't nothing changed. Struggle daily for the pain. I was raised the place of the product you wage. See, I came up, ain't ball of strap, banging the pager. Hustle talking to strangers, a life of danger. See, if I get to change, just a little thing. Guys push my limit, I hate you, but love my haters. Foes on the street trying to fade us, but never could phase. A nigga fucked in the head, so they label me strange. When touching human nature, this nature's fucked up. Still lurking the lanes, been like that since I was young. And my girl together we walk, she taught me how to use my tongue. Got that cushion, I'm high, so my pain is up. You can find me lost in the mist and I'm rolling up. West End, listen, my veins flow right through my bloodstreams. All day, gotta survive for my therapy. All night, creeps to the hood, meets in the alley. Focus my raising these blocks, making them damn street. Nigga crook gutter land, came up on the god slang. Money over everything, could show me the easy pain. Things getting colder, but the soldier on the
G19 feels like having bug bites all over your body, all at once.
You gotta make your daily grand, stand the nigga cutting class investigations by the fest. But mama, I was only 17, posted with a bag. Daddy was a man that got me streets, made me a man. Pray for the Lord to save him, God embracing the hatred. Music for the elevation, instead elevated. Mind focus heavyweight, but quick when started pacing. Even the foes devastated like a brain dead patient. Well, I'm wide awake.
These nuts.
The risk I take. Yeah, I dream. Well, I'm wide awake. Turn up the beat. I refuse to fade. Yeah, I dream. Well, I'm wide awake. I might lose it all. That's the risk I take. Yeah, I dream. Well, I'm wide awake. Turn up the beat. I refuse to fade. Yeah, I dream. Well, I'm wide awake. I might lose it all. That's the risk I take. Yeah, I dream. Well, I'm wide awake. Turn up the beat. I refuse to fade. Yeah, I dream. Well, I'm wide awake. I might lose it all. That's the risk I take. Yeah, I dream. Well, I'm wide awake. Turn up the beat, I refuse to fade.
We look out for our illegal immigrants. We make them legal. I ain't picking apples, motherfucker. Is that a native joke? No, I ain't picking apples. And I ain't picking that either. You better get the Mexicans up there.
Telling me you can't stack shit. Fuck business, make fake ass bitch. I'll put you in a casket, up in it with a mattress. Cats acting, they will, they matic is rapping. Fuck wax, the class with the mechanical, faster batteries, master pop. A tragedy happened to be the first plastic, but the last but laughing. The savages happen, I'm like an animal trapped in. Hungry, we
if they don't come pick them, they rot on the trees and fall off on the ground.
We getting wish for this commission of pay. We'll catch you slipping at me, listen to the minutes you frame. Bitches, bitch, you bring a fire while extinguish your flame. We don't play. Flipping out the kitchen with cane. Don't say no names. I hear you whispering names.
Although if they foresee a market for the can shit, they'll keep making that. There's still warehouses full of it.
And you got a plastic bottles.
think like old people, right? I daydream about buying shit by the case. Morning niblets are on sale. I think it's 24 in a case. I can do the math in my head. They do like 69 cents. So let's say they do like 59 cents. I was spending like $14 if you won the lottery. Lately, I've been spending more and paying less. One thing I can't figure out, how the fuck am I going to carry 12 of these motherfuckers at once? Fuck that. The case guy and I'll be the singles guy. I can two at a time at the most.
Few human beings.
Somewhere up the line is a skid guy, and above that there's a warehouse guy. And he's sitting on like $1 million of these.
Never gonna be an old man. Die with your gun in your hand. Damn. See, it's all part of God's plan. And all we can do is just try to understand. Nah, never gonna be an old man. Die with your gun in your hand. Damn. See, it's all part of God's plan. And all we can do is just try to understand. Here my whole life, I've been selling rock. Yeah, the birdie almost gone and it's barely out the pot. I'ma give it all I got till I'm locked, trapped in a box and stuck in a cell. Yeah, boy, we living in hell. Every scar on my body got a story to tell. Listen closely. You can hear the wind whispering, that's my friends. Fuck them, I don't need them either way. Hear the whole world against me, still I'ma be okay. I got the sun on my back, hear the world on my shoulders. Cocaine, product holding, black flag soldier. To my casket closest, like just further, well, 10 steps closer. Trust me, boy, you will yelling me like a gazelle running with the elephants. Real recognized fake, and you got bitch made written all over your face. God, never gonna be an old man. Die with your gun in your hand. Damn, see it's so part of God's plan. And all we can do is just try to understand. Nah, never gonna be an old man. Die with your gun in your hand. Damn, see it's so part of God's plan. And all we can do is just try to understand. Dream of Monday, see dreams and dreams of hope. To me that's funny, cause your dreams make my dreams come true. Circle of life, darkness conquers like I'm slapped from the world burst. You cry, cause you only die first. Don't worry, we all get a turn. I had to ask the reference, so all dogs get to go to heaven. And if so, I guess I'm good. I guess he understands why I brought backpacks in the hood, yo. I'm walking with the black mask, black strap hoodie, yo. Just to pick us up, let them know what's up. It's someone else's call, from the time it's up, I don't give a fuck. Fuck the world and everybody in it. You play the game, you better play it to win it. You at the bottom of the food chain, looking like dinner. Bitch ass. God, never gonna be an old man. Die with your God in your hand. Damn. See, it's all part of God's plan. And all we can do is just try to understand. Nah, never gonna be an old man. Die with your God in your hand. Damn. See, it's all part of God's plan. And all we can do is just try to understand.
Yeah, I think with all these bite sensations, it's popping, the blood cells exploding. The catch what that is, that's cumulative. Those blood cells explode, it takes time to replace them. So the more that I go through in a day, the more problems I have the next fucking day. Oh shit. The title don't match what the track is. Let's just leave it at that. I remember this song, man.
I'm a ride, till they bury me. All that talking on your breath, they scaring me. Keep on pushing me, it's like you carry me. Like I won't pop, 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 pop. You let it be. Ride, till they bury me. All that talking on your breath, they scaring me. Keep on pushing me, it's like you carry me. Like I won't pop, 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 pop. You let it be.
Used to skip class, make cash, just the one I never passed. Teacher always talking about something I don't really care about. You see, when I'm done here, gotta go home. And sometimes home ain't the place you wanna go. When the crowded room, I feel alone. He wants his mother who did die in his arms. And then they wonder why he acts out and causes others harm. It was even betting against me back then. I was never supposed to be shit. Listen to me locked up or dead. Tell me how am I alive if you saving for my head? Get the fuck out of here. Y'all ain't killing shit. I was born for a greater purpose. Because that I know I make you nervous. Careful, there's a demon lurking underneath the surface. This is the memory of my dog dead and deceased. Every scar, every tattoo means something to me.
Another demon church where every man is cursed.
All that talking on your butt, they scary me.
Stress. No need for a bulletproof vest, cause we ain't for nothing. It's not chest. That's for this, not that.
All that talking on your butt, they scary me. Keep on pushing me, just like you carry me. Like I won't pop.
It's not a mission full of dead birds.
Ain't no one stop this shit. 2014. Tell you that right now. 2014. Yeah. Can't fuck with this shit. Can't fuck with this. I ain't getting bail, so I run till they catch me. I ain't scared of y'all, so you won't have to dead me before I ever stop.
Teresa Jewett, that's the fucking bitch's name that would never give me bail.
This year I'm stomping on every day. Took the coke in and out. Way of less
in the newspaper when she retired. I don't know why. She never did nothing except deny bail.
Just wait for the order. Got the product from across the border. Your guns on layaway, mine on standby. Send my condolences, yeah. Heard your man died. Got that good. If you trying to get high, just follow my lead and you will be fine. Yeah, I came from a place where it's easy to lose faith. Had to learn the hard way, the only way, all day long. Had to earn these scars just to write this song. I worked for the great nigga, was the music stop. No time to wish upon a star. Maybe one of my enemies feeling break today. Thinking about coming off, survival at all costs. Whatever it takes, I should live in my state. No room for error, no room for mistakes.
I'm around, till they bury me. All that talking on your butt, they scary me. Keep on pushing me, it's like you carry me. Like I won't pop. Leave me there to bleed. Ride, till they bury me. All that talking on your butt, they scary me. Keep on pushing me, it's like you carry me. Like I won't pop. Leave me there to bleed.
If they got here from Mexico, I could give them those Mexican coins. They could actually take them back with them and spend them. It's not much. Yeah. Fucking 200 pesos ain't fucking much. They're smart. They keep like Micmac. They keep moving. Make money in all three currencies, and it don't matter which one's worthless. What do they work with? Food. Perfect. Nothing else, you're not going to go hungry. Yeah, eat all you want because it's all going on the fucking ground. Whatever you don't pick is falling on the ground. Yeah, it looks like there's a lot here, right? There's 100 more, 1,000 times as much. Look around. That's what's happening right now. I don't know who made these Android boxes, but it recognizes everything USB apparently. It told me that it's a Dell keyboard. I think it's correct too. I didn't double check that. Yeah, it's correct. Plug and play. City slickers give us details.
lips speak well. Hope you like your meat well. Need help to buckle, make you buckle like a seatbelt. Keep my metal high, so you pop into the heat well. Crack rock, hustle, crack locks, so the keys melt. Living what can be hell, brothers on the street now. C says it has to be tape for the shit that we sell. I beat up by any means on the TL. Don't ever see tell shit, never hear email. I need weed, smell breeze, so much me well. She helps stimulate the stress from the streets.
So high, you can tell when the bloodshot dies.
Oh, I'm gonna meet the Mexicans. I know I am. I see them here.
So high, you can tell when the bloodshot dies.
The apple farms are right on the edge of the city.
I'm high, so high. I'm drunk,
If I had to, I could walk up there and pick apples all day and walk back here.
Drunk, ready to die, selling drugs
Last man standing, motherfucker. If the internet still works, then I don't see why it wouldn't. We got 2 generators in this building, plus the cell phone antennas are gonna make sure those keep working. Oh, it'll be bad. They won't come anywhere near. The government authorities won't come anywhere near here. But if I can keep that shit running, they'll keep my electricity running. Oh. A lot of them are gonna go pick apples.
What does it mean? I might be tripping, but then again, you might get shacked up while you listen. You should listen. Yeah, pay attention.
Don't you realize that we're all about survival? We got only friends because we killed all our rivals.
I'm drunk, so drunk. Tell 'cause I don't give a fuck. I'm high, so high.
This is 680 News and Tech. The federal government has announced it is extending Ontario's emergency declaration until April 23rd and tacking on several new measures.
No settings or anything to set up. I just plug it in and it works.
Detailing the number of businesses offering to manufacture critical medical equipment.
To date, Ontario Together has provided 7,500 leads on emergency supplies.
This whole city's full of metal fabrication shops.
Of critical medical equipment and supplies.
The Premier says these supplies will be sent directly to the front lines.
That's 5.1 million surgical gloves, 20 million surgical masks, and 250,000 face shields.
Remember, having money in the bank don't help you right now. Oh, you're gonna buy them from who? The U.S. is gonna steal the shipment right off the tarmac.
And while more than 400 positive tests brings the total case count past 6,600, about 40% of these patients have recovered. I'm Seher Hashimi.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has called it the most significant economic program since World War II. As 680's Jonathan Seacrest explains, now that it's passed in the House of Commons, it's now on its way to the Senate.
The $73 billion wage subsidy program is designed to help businesses, nonprofits, and charities that saw a 15% reduction in revenues in March, or will see a 30% reduction in April or May. Speaking in the House of Commons during a special sitting of Parliament, the Prime Minister likened the COVID-19 pandemic to a war. But there is no front line marked with barbed wire.
Well, the Army already called it a war.
Soldiers to be deployed across the ocean. No enemy combatants to defeat. Instead, the front line is everywhere. In our homes, in our hospitals, and care centers. The bill was passed on division, meaning there was some opposition amongst the handful of MPs in the chamber.
You are on the front lines.
I'm Jonathan Seacrest.
Meantime, Alberta is sending safety equipment to other provinces, including here in Ontario. BC Premier Jason Kenney made the announcement just moments ago and says BC will be getting 250,000 N95 face masks. He says it's the right thing to do.
I, for one, as an Albertan and as a Canadian, could not in conscience watch us stockpile massive amounts of surplus equipment while we see many of our fellow Canadians in some provinces within days of running out of some of these supplies. We are all in this together.
See, we don't have to be told.
Alberta is also sending aid to BC and Quebec, the two provinces hit hardest during the pandemic.
What am I doing?
A Longo store in Vaughan is temporarily closing for a second time after an 8th employee tested positive for COVID-19. The Toronto store reporting the grocery store closed on Weston Road on March the 26th after a staff member tested positive the day before. The company says a deep cleaning and sanitization of the store was done on April 7th after another staff member tested positive. The employee has not been to the store since, and staff who worked there since March the 28th are being asked to stay home and self-monitor for the next 14 days. Staff members who tested positive will be paid in full until the store reopens. This is All News Radio 680 News. U.S. President Donald Trump is taking a cautious position on when to reopen the country. This comes as White House officials are pointing to hopeful signs that the spread of the coronavirus could be slowing down. But New York governor says pushing the reopening date for economic reasons is an unethical moral dilemma.
I understand the need to bring back the economy as quickly as possible. I understand people need to work. I also know we need to save lives, and we have. And one cannot be at the expense of the other.
Experts warn that reopening the country too quickly could spark a deadly resurgence that could undermine current distancing efforts. Meantime, the largest school system in the U.S. with 1.1 million students will remain closed for the rest of the academic year.
Oh, shit.
New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio says it was not an easy decision.
I can also tell you it's the right thing to do.
You know, I'm coughing in my sleeve.
It clearly will help us save lives.
Online education has been
He
going
looks
on
away,
since
he looks
school
up. Oh,
March
go cough in your
16th,
hand,
but
cough
it's
in your
been
sleeve.
rocky, with many low-income students not having internet access.
We already can say that 66,000 devices have been distributed. We have to get 240,000 more in the hands of our kids over the next couple of weeks.
According to Education Week, as of Friday, 19 other states have closed their schools for the rest of the academic year. Julie Walker, New York.
This is All News Radio 680 News. Canadian hockey legend Hayley Wickenheiser is helping a local nonprofit collect much needed personal protective equipment for Ontario's healthcare workers. The Conquer COVID-19 PPE drive collected unused masks, gloves, and face shields at Toronto's XYZ storage today. Wickenheiser says those items will be taken to family physicians and long-term care facilities throughout the area.
Every little bit helps, you know. There is such a shortage right now. Our long-term care homes need it. Our frontline workers need it. And we're just trying to fill a bit of we're bridging a gap while we get supplies in to make sure that we're covered for the long haul here.
Last week, Wickenheiser
I want to know where all these people are coming up with these supplies.
Picked them up herself in exchange for a
Like, what, you've been hoarding them like one box a month out of your workplace, just thinking for the future maybe?
On the one 680 News time.
Maybe I'll go into drywall.
This is 680 News.
All weekend,
There's got to be a
CSC
drywaller.
Amazing Today's Showstopper
So I hate
offers.
my
Like
boss.
the
I hate this
latest
job.
Samsung Smart TV
And he said he's
with
gonna
4K
use
crystal
the
processing
masks
for Ultra
for his
HD
drywall
imagery.
work.
Get the 58-inch screen for just
These masks
$699.99
there's 50 in a
or the
fucking
70-inch
box.
screen for $1099.99. And take advantage of 12 easy pay payments. This long weekend, get the
They're charging
Samsung
like
TV and
$2-3
more
a
today's
fucking piece.
Showstopper offers. Shop TSC.ca. Today's shopping choice.
$150 right
Now,
there.
680 News gas price update. April predicts the price of gas will not change at midnight. It's holding at 77.9 cents a liter
It's a
at
little
most
piece of
GT
it.
stations.
$3. Okay.
680 News
But
time.
you're paying these people like 20, 30, 40, whatever, thousands of dollars a year even salary.
That's why
They should be able to throw the fucking thing out and go to the bathroom and grab a new one. So there should be a person standing there whose job it is to put the mask on them so they don't have to touch the damn thing or something. I don't fucking know, but what you're doing is not
we're
working
offering
out.
2.5% interest on your
It's not
savings until
military.
March 31st,
It's not military. You're not
2021.
being gangster with
Find
it.
out how at
You're doing it wrong. You're
earnmore.duca.com.
doing it wrong.
Do more, be more, achieve more with Duca Credit Union. Conditions apply. Are you looking for a ministry-inspected online high school where you can earn credits or upgrade your marks? Learn from home with the Ontario Virtual School. The Ontario Virtual School allows you to earn OSSD credits while you learn from
Everything I
home.
do because
so
I have
you can get your
B19.
high
These
school
assholes are
diploma.
acting like I just
Now
started
is a
doing
good
it
time to
because
sign
the
up.
fucking
Set
news
your
told
own
me to because of
schedule and get
COVID-19.
24-hour
Oh,
access to our
motherfuckers.
certified teachers. Some courses can be completed in as little as
You
4
assholes
weeks.
go listen to
Learn
nothing
more
I
at
say.
OntarioVirtualSchool.ca.
680 News Time, 10:11. Time for traffic and weather together on the ones. Here's Carly Donahue. This report is brought to you by WeCleanCovid19.ca. It's a really easygoing night out there for you drivers on the major routes. We don't really have much happening. Just on the eastbound 401, the ramps to the 407 are closed.
I'm not going to be the 1, 2, 3 cleaning
427 ramps to the 407 are shut down as well. So it's not really impeding people's driving too much, and everything is pretty much looking up to speed. We did figure out what was happening on the 403. It was just a disabled vehicle at Winston Churchill, but they've cleared that out of the way, and everything else looks up to speed on your major routes. If you see something we're missing, give us a hands-free call at star 680. Essential and non-essential services, realtors and builders. Ensure that your clients are confident that your space is COVID-19 virus and pathogen-free. Guaranteed with WeCleanCovid19.ca.
What happens if somebody gets sick? How do you prove you got it from that place?
Your next report's at 10:21. Now the forecast is Jason Fraser.
Well, we'll continue to see more clouds developing around the GTA as the evening progresses. Overnight, we can't rule out the possibility of a rain shower developing.
Yeah,
I do think the rain will likely stick around through part of the morning hours.
Old people already know. You got sickle cell, you qualify as old. Maybe that's why the McDonald's gave me the seniors discount.
Easter, that's when we'll get another round of rain showers. High temperature tomorrow of 12 degrees, and tomorrow night the rain continues, and we'll see a low temperature of 8 degrees. Our overnight low tonight is 1 degree.
I'm a receipt person.
Right now,
I grab receipts and shove them in my pockets. I'll need it later. I know I'll need it
and the
later.
same over at Pearson Airport.
Look to the seniors
The Rogers
discount.
Cup Women's Tennis Tournament will not be played this year due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Tennis Canada announcing the event scheduled for August 7th to the 16th in Montreal is off the schedule now. Quebec's government announced Friday no sporting events could be held through until August 31st, though it left the doors slightly open for pro teams. Tennis Canada said the women's event will return to Montreal in August of 2021. Still to come on 680 News, we'll have details on Calgary Police Services now doing their part to keep kids of all ages entertained while at home. 680 News Time, 10:13.
Can you just do your job and drive up down the street?
So, you're moving to a new home, and all that's left to do is to call a mover you know you can trust. Well, naturally, you think
it should be easy. There's less people. You can see right up the whole street. If you see a guy, roll up on him.
And move everything you
I would.
With a 96% referral rating and the
But normally, but now, yeah. What the fuck are you doing out of your house?
For a free in-home estimate, call today. We're
You're harassing me. Yeah. There's no witnesses. What are you gonna do? Go home. It's so easy to fucking deal with.
Superintendent Scott Baptist of Toronto Police Traffic Services with a reminder to always drive sober, whether by alcohol or drugs or a combination. Police have the authority, the ability, and the tools to detect impairment. Driving impaired comes with serious consequences, including the loss of your license, vehicle impoundment, fines, insurance increases, jail time, and more. Thank you for driving sober. A message from Arrival I Drive Sober and the Ontario Association of Chiefs of Police.
You can't force me to delete my viruses. They're my viruses, and I might want them later.
9 degrees in downtown Toronto. Good evening. From the 680 Broadcast Center, I'm Eden Tabata. And I'm Veronica Thor. Here are the top stories this hour. Toronto Public Health says the city's COVID-19 case number is now at 2,065. And officers are stepping up efforts to enforce physical distancing bylaws with another weekend blitz. People must remain at least 6 feet apart. Now, Sulcana says
2 meters, 6'8".
$73 billion wage subsidy
It is 6'8", not 6 foot. It's more than 6 inches. It's more than half. It rounds up to 7. It doesn't round down to 6. Oh, 6 foot. Well, 5 is close enough. 4.5 is good.
It's a sad day for the
spots where you're supposed to stand, there's 2 of them for every parking space. The parking spaces are like 2 meters wide.
Medically induced coma earlier in the week after suffering a brain bleed, but he was unable to recover. The Rogers Cup will not go ahead as planned in Montreal this year. The event is canceled, so the women will be back in Montreal next summer. There is not an update yet on what this means for the Rogers Cup here in Toronto. That is scheduled right now to be played the same weekend as the tournament in Montreal was. As far as when we might see the NBA again, Adam Silver isn't rushing to any decisions.
Right now, NBA Commissioner Adam Silver is not making any decisions on any calendar issues, whether it's resumption of play or a draft date, until at least May 1st.
There is Wojciechowski. He added that NBA GMs would like to see the draft pushed back deep into the summer as late as August. That is because the teams have had the inability to scout players. Sports 15 and 45 past every hour or anytime.
I don't have to give you a virus. I don't have to send you the virus. I just have to log into my email on your fucking machine. Hey, can you just do it for a minute? Check my
Uniform
email.
Local 414 knows the impact of COVID-19 on our kids who no longer have school clubs or sports teams to support them. That's why Kids Help Phone is there, offering young people free, non-judgmental, 24/7 support by phone, chat, and text. The need is greater than ever.
The
Please
whole
donate at
city is shut
kidshelpphone.ca
down.
to make sure they can always be there. A message from Uniform Local 414, proud supporters of Canada's most precious resource, our children and youth.
Introducing Irwin's new command lock take measures, built for
cares so much about our children.
up to 14-foot reach and a high-contrast DuPont Mylar film-coated white blade. Plus, it comes in a high-impact resistant case. When every quarter-inch matters, these tapes are designed with your job in mind. New Irwin command lock tapes, built for the trades. Available only at Canadian Tire stores across Canada. Find out more at irwintools.ca.
680 News Time, 10:17. Calgary Police Services have launched a kid-friendly online service on their YouTube channel. Senator Freemark with City News says feedback on the virtual storytelling has been positive from children and parents alike.
Watch the
While
cops.
on duty, Calgary Police Service works to keep us safe. But it's what one constable is doing off duty that involves childhood classics that's lighting up lives.
I put it out to a lot of my followers that I have on social media, and the feedback was overwhelmingly positive.
You're all trying to replace Mr. Dresser.
Different stories that I should do.
Each day, Constable Mark Smith posts a video of him reading a children's story. And although they were originally meant for kids, it seems as though adults have been loving the blast into the past.
The biggest suggestion that I've already had so far is
the kids aren't even watching the adults are.
Which is upcoming probably in a couple of days, and I've done it, I've recorded it, and it was very funny to do.
For City News, I'm Sarah Freemark. This is 680
part of
News
what
at
he said, but I guarantee I wouldn't
Britain's
have
Health
fun.
Secretary says 19 frontline workers in the National Health Service have died after contracting COVID-19. Dr. Jenny Vaughan at the Doctors Association UK says she's concerned that more workers have died than reported.
We also have concerns that those figures perhaps don't include pharmacists, allied healthcare workers, and care home workers, because we've certainly heard stories about them not also having access to PPE.
Britain has been in lockdown for nearly 3 weeks, and the government is expected to extend restrictions in coming days. Over in South Korea, officials have announced
the guy's got a
plans to
fucking hockey fucking thing on and a bandana over his face like a pirate
people who
skull
defy
thing.
quarantine orders as the coronavirus death toll passes 100,000 worldwide. Officials say stricter controls are required because some of the 57,000 people who are under order to stay home have slipped out by leaving behind smartphones and tracking apps. Plans for broader use of wristbands were scaled back after objections by human rights and legal
I would have to
activists.
bust
A
3
senior
fucking
health ministry
shatterproof
official
windows to
acknowledged
get
the
at this
privacy
guy.
and civil liberty concerns surrounding the bans, which will be enforced through police and local administrative officials. Wristbands are designed to alert officials if the wearer leaves home or tries to destroy or cut them off. And in Canada, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says Canadians stand physically apart but united in a collective resolve to do what must be done until COVID-19 is defeated. Speaking in the House of Commons today during a special sitting of Parliament, Trudeau compared the current isolation to a war, but instead of a front line marked with barbed wire, the front line in this pandemic is everywhere. Coming up, our traffic report and extended weather forecast together on the ones. 680 News Time,
Except for the one guy.
So you went out drinking
out jogging.
and you did the right thing.
At 3 in the fucking morning. Perfect. There's nobody in their right mind out right now.
And stayed up late, you could still have
Shout
alcohol
you
in
out,
your
white
system
boy.
the next day.
Do your
And could
jogging
register a
too.
warn, even a fail on a roadside screening device.
No, these assholes
It
are
can take
running
up to 12 hours or
up
more
to
from the time
people.
of your last drink for your
Doing
BAC to
laps
reach
around
zero.
people and shit.
And
Fuck
only time,
off.
not sleep, coffee, or
And they're
shower
coming up
sobers
from
you any
behind.
faster. A message from a
If you're a dog person or a street involved drug dealer type person, you know, you don't just fucking come up behind somebody. You don't do that.
How about
You get a fucking shot or stab. Virus. I thought you were trying to take my chain, bitch.
money you could really use right now is a simple
jogging. You don't know what happened 10 seconds earlier. You're coming fast up the road. We're not expecting you. I expect you at 6 in the morning when the sun comes up. Why are you out all fucking day now? Forgot about that. They're out when the sun comes up. Why the fuck are they out in the middle of the fucking day?
Time for traffic and weather
Look at us, we're jogging. We're jogging.
This report is brought to
Same
you by
idiots looking at everybody looking at you while you're in your Beamer.
Good night to be out on the roads if you're essential traveling at this time. But yeah, not much happening. Just the eastbound 401 and the southbound 427 ramps to the 407 are closed.
That's a red light.
Other than that, just some long-term construction on the Gardner and nothing else really affecting your drive in the GTA. That is, of course, on your major routes. We have some long-term construction on our city streets, but it's been there for quite some time. So if you see anything you think we should know about the city streets or on your major highways, give us a hint or call.
They're crashing into hydro poles, knocking out whole neighborhoods for
days. Wish their guests the very best at this difficult time, and also remind you
they're not just hitting hydro poles, they're hitting the important ones.
Online. Place your order at rootschris.ca. Your next report's at 10:31. Now with the forecast, here's Jason Fraser.
We'll continue to see lots of clouds in around the GTA tonight. We're not expecting any rain showers to develop before midnight. And we'll see a low temperature tonight in the single digits. Now, tomorrow's going to be an interesting day. Some of us will see just a quick rain shower in the morning, but then your Easter Sunday looks to be mostly cloudy for much of the day. We might even see a few peaks of some sunshine. Our high tomorrow is going to be 12 degrees. Our low is going to be 8. And the rainy weather is going to continue into Monday. That's when we will continue to see a major storm move across the GTA that has the potential of dumping anywhere between 20 to upwards of 30 millimeters of rain. And we'll also see the winds gust up to 100 kilometers per hour, and that may potentially lead to some tree branches being torn down, and what may also lead to some power outages. We'll see a high temperature then, right around 13 degrees.
I'm just laughing at the idea of these people out jogging, blowing up the street.
Right now in downtown Toronto, a clear sky, it's 8 degrees, feeling like 6, and similar conditions at Pearson Airport.
Yeah, they're plastic. They're still pretty fucking heavy. You wouldn't want to drop it on your neck.
680 is the only radio station with a weather guarantee. Today's jackpot stands at $21,100.
Bam! Because they all got headphones on.
The latest on this weekend's blitz from Toronto Police.
Hey, lady.
Oh, she can't hear me. Declaration.
Boom.
680 news time, 10:23.
100 kilometers an hour.
It's more like 60. One's bricks and mortar, the second is an online
Let's say it's 65. It's close enough. 65 miles an hour.
If I shop online, I can't see you, Bill.
The wind will be breaking the speed limit in some states.
24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We offer the largest selection of power equipment around.
What about work gloves and safety glasses?
Yes, sir, and brand names you love.
Like Stihl and Kubota, all from Coy Brothers.
KOOYBROS.com.
Darren and Moe's Pay Your Bills contest
on 98.1
CHFI. Bills come up and it's just hard to keep up. We want to look after that.
So as long as you keep getting bills, you'll keep paying them.
Oh my God, thank you so much.
Guess what?
What?
Zero balance.
Oh, I feel so good. Answer to have Darren and Moe pay your bills by uploading a photo of your
What if I'm responsible and I paid all my bills and I win this thing? They're going to tell me, no, guess what? Zero for you. You got 0 on this and 0 on that, and we're not paying fuck all. Fuck you.
CHFI.
An auction of Beatles memorabilia took place on the 50th anniversary of the Fab Four's historic breakup this week. ABC's Jason Nathanson says some of those items went for hundreds of thousands of dollars.
I knew that was coming. Drugs. These are drugs. Gotta buy it off people. Gotta follow their rules. But go to Tim Hortons right now and don't follow the rules. You're not getting coffee anyway. You're not even gonna get somebody else to go in for you. Fuck you. Get away from me. Fucking whatever the signs say, you're gonna fucking do. Unless the guy yells something different at you, then you're going to do whatever he says, no matter what the sign says. He says, take your mask off, you'll do it, even though you're not supposed to. What about these stores with the sign that says, if you have a mask or a hoodie on, you are trespassing if you come in? They have to fucking duct tape over that now? Are they just not open for business? What? Are they doing it through the fucking walk-up window?
Or you have COPD and you need tips that can help you manage breathlessness. Perhaps today you're finally ready to quit smoking or vaping. Certified respiratory educators are standing by for free confidential phone or chat sessions. Visit lunghealth.ca to get started today. Breathe easy. Lung Health starts now.
680 News Time, 10:26. Now time for the 680 Weekend Business Report.
I'm Carl Garnash. The coronavirus pandemic is leaving many Canadians financially stressed, which is having a significant impact on their mental health and well-being. To make sure people are getting the support they need during this time, Green Shield Canada is among the companies taking action, sponsoring Stronger Minds, which is a free digital program full of resources to help Canadians navigate the situation. Joe Blomley, Executive Vice President of Individual, Public Sector and Mental Health at Green Shield Canada, says there is usually an aftershock following a crisis like this.
So if you look at
when has there ever been a crisis like this in the last 60, 70 years? Seriously.
There was a so-called pandemic after the pandemic, or a shock after the shock. So based on our data, we assume something similar.
The idea of asking for help didn't exist the last time shit like this happened, man.
Like there is a mental health challenge that's starting to percolate up.
He adds the first reaction to the pandemic has been a focus on the ability of the government to handle the situation from a healthcare perspective.
What we're now seeing is obviously the economic consequences of essentially a shutdown of our economy. You throw on the ramifications and mental health challenges that come out of a healthcare crisis. If you throw on top of that the serious economic financial crisis, the financial consequences that people are dealing with right now, it is a doublesome burden.
As we begin to come out of this situation, Blomley says it's likely we will see a staged return to normalcy for workers.
It's like going to the gym for your mind, right? It's about recognizing and changing unhelpful thinking patterns, developing personal coping strategies. The undercurrent of this crisis from a mental health perspective is going to be there for a long period of time, so we want to make sure that people have those tools and the skill set to manage the mental health aspects of the return to normalcy that we'll, I'm sure, eventually see at some point in the next several months.
Joe Blomley is the Executive Vice President of Individual, Public Sector and Mental Health at Green Shield Canada. At the Business Center, I'm Carl Garnash.
When you need to know, now.
680news.com.
Every time you spend some cash, you get some cash back with the CIBC Dividend Visa Infinite Card. Every time, with no limit on how much you can earn. You'll even earn on your monthly subscriptions. And when it comes to those necessary purchases like gas and groceries, you get 4% cash back on eligible purchases. 4%. Plus, right now, your first year's annual fee is on us. Don't just spend, earn. The CIBC Dividend Visa Infinite Card. Conditions apply. Learn more at CIBC.com/cashback.
Stop the spread. COVID-19 can be deadly. The time to act is now. Everyone must do their part to stop the spread of COVID-19. Stay at home. Period. Full stop. Only go out if absolutely necessary. That means for groceries, for medications, for medical appointments, or if you provide an essential service. Protect yourself and others. Stay home. For information, visit ontario.ca/coronavirus. Paid for by the Government of Ontario.
Put us on and find out what to wear. The best weather reports in the city every 10 minutes on 680 News.
In Mississauga, partly cloudy, 10 degrees. Kitchener, clear at 9. Cambridge, seeing some cloud cover, 8 degrees over there. Brampton, partly cloudy and 10. Right now in downtown Toronto, few clouds and 8. Succeeding me is the CFTR AM Toronto. Listen 3, 4, 5 times a day and always be in the know. You can also find out how to hear us on our smart speaker phone or HD radio at 680news.com/listen. 680 News Time, 10:30.
Number 1 for news in Toronto. This is 680 News.
Good evening. This is Saturday, April the 11th. I'm Veronica Soar. And I'm Eden Babat. Here's what's making news this hour. Zero tolerance starting now.
We're moving past the education piece.
Toronto police crack down on those not following physical distancing rules.
Ontario is reporting its highest single-day death toll from COVID-19 and more than 400 new cases. This as the province extends all emergency orders for more than 2 weeks.
The Prime Minister is calling it the most significant economic program since the Second World War. The $73 billion wage subsidy program has passed the House of Commons.
The 23rd is 10 days away.
Says it's taking a virtual approach to this year's Canada Day festivities.
The Rogers Cup will not be played in Montreal this year, while Oilers forward Colby Cave passes away at Sunnybrook. Sports at 45.
And coming up in business, the coronavirus pandemic has upended the way we do grocery shopping, and it's especially challenging for healthcare workers. That challenge has prompted a new website.
The Walmart guy.
Exceeding news time, 10:31. Time for traffic and weather together on the ones with an eye on the roads. Here's Carling Donahue. This report's brought to you by the 407 ETR. It's an easygoing drive out there on your major routes right now. We've got on the eastbound 401 and on the southbound 427. On both those highways, no access to the 407. They've closed down all the ramps, so that's the only bit of construction we've got going on the highways right now. Other than that, no collisions, no more maintenance, and no delays. It's a good drive this evening. 407 ETR thanks you for continuing to follow social distancing rules. Together, we can beat the COVID-19 virus. 407etr.com. Your next report's at 10:41. Now with the forecast, here's Jason Fraser.
We'll continue to see increasing clouds as the evening progresses, and in the overnight hours, we may potentially end up seeing just a few light rain showers develop. We'll see an overnight temperature go down to a low of 1 degree.
Right now in downtown Toronto, clear, 8 degrees, and up here's an airport, clear skies and 9. Succeeding news time, 10:32. Toronto Public Health is now reporting 2,065 cases of COVID-19 in the city, with 196 in hospital and 85 in the intensive care units. To keep numbers low, police are stepping up their efforts this weekend to enforce physical distancing bylaws. 680's Michelle Mackey has more from Toronto Police on the city's prevention strategy. Education and awareness, a thing of the past. Toronto Police Chief Mark Saunders says the public knows the physical distancing rules. Now the time has come to crack down on those not following them.
So what we're going to be doing is moving towards a zero tolerance with some common sense factors to it.
So you must keep a distance of at least 2 meters from anyone not living in your household, in parks and public squares, or face a fine of $1,000. Chief Saunders says this is a critical time of year to enforce physical distancing.
If we can keep our foot on the gas right now, then we know that at the end of the day, when it does get forward, there'll be less people that will be issuing tickets to.
The physical distancing enforcement blitz will continue through the weekend. I'm Michelle Mackey. Ontario Premier Doug Ford says 14,000 businesses in the province have offered to begin making supplies to fight against COVID-19. 680's Zahara Shimi reports.
Donning a Conquer COVID-19 t-shirt, Premier Doug Ford says Ontario businesses have stepped up to make critical medical supplies to fight the virus.
We received over 14,000 submissions to Ontario Together portal. Thousands of businesses put up their hand to make critical medical supplies and equipment.
Today, Ford says Ontario Together, the online hub for businesses offering to retool their services, has provided 7,500 leads on emergency supplies, leading to $90 million in purchases.
That's 5.1 million surgical gloves, 20 million surgical masks, and 250,000 face shields.
The province is also extending all of the current emergency measures through to April 23rd. The announcement comes as Ontario's Ministry of Health reports 31 more deaths, along with 411 new cases of COVID.
You just pack shit up. You deliver them shit, they pack it up.
I'm Zahara Hashimi.
This is All News Radio 680 News.
Somebody's got to put those
Massive
masks
bill
in
aimed at
boxes.
helping people and businesses in Canada has passed the House of Commons. As 680's Jonathan Seacrest explains, the $73 billion wage subsidy program passed during a special sitting of Parliament today.
Shortly after the deal was passed, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau tweeted out, "We'll keep working to make sure workers and businesses across the country get the support they need." Conservative leader Andrew Scheer says the deal is a good one, but only because his party helped make some tweaks.
When the government first announced a 10% wage subsidy, conservatives and small business owners across this country raised concerns. Other countries were offering far more.
The deal means the feds can pay companies 3/4 of an employee's wages up to the first $58,700 of their salary for up to 12 weeks. I'm Jonathan Seacrest.
250,095 masks are coming to Ontario thanks to Alberta. Premier Jason Kenney says his province has amassed a stockpile of safety gear and they want to share.
We are absolutely confident that these contributions will in no way undermine our capacity to provide critical protective equipment and ventilators to Alberta's medical professionals, to other associated frontline workers, and to care for those in need of it.
We'll find your
Kenny says the number of hospitalizations in the province are below numbers that had been predicted in models for this point, and he says that's due to Albertans following public health guidelines. Alberta is also sending equipment to British Columbia and Quebec.
Oh, fuck BC.
Over the past month, Quebec Premier François Legault says 31 people have died at a West End Montreal long-term care home. Legault says at least 5 patients at the residence died after testing positive for COVID-19.
The owner of this residence refused to give us access to the file of the patients, and it's only last night at 8 p.m. that we learned that the number of deaths since March 13 was 31.
Both Quebec's health and public security departments have ordered a police investigation.
Fine, but I want you to know I would rather
the
be
United
speaking
States
French.
has surpassed Italy for the highest national COVID-19 deaths toll. ABC's Mark Remillard reports.
As of Saturday afternoon, 19,701 people have died in the U.S. from coronavirus, according to data from Johns Hopkins University. That now tops the Italian death toll, which was reported Saturday at 19,468.
In accordance with the national lockdown, Italy's president says he, like many other Italians, will be marking Easter in solitude to help curb the spread of COVID-19. Meanwhile, New York City's mayor says public schools will remain closed for the rest of the academic year, but the governor says that's his call to make.
Shortly after Mayor Bill de Blasio made the announcement Saturday that keeps schools closed,
It clearly will help us save lives.
Governor Andrew Cuomo says he's the one who has the legal authority in this situation.
I understand the mayor's position, which is he wants to close them until June.
He wants to.
And we may do that, but we're going to do it in a coordinated sense with the other localities.
I'm pretty sure the mayor has the authority, and he just has to send in whoever their public health officer is.
And hopefully the tri-state.
Fire department or somebody. Oh yeah, they all failed inspections.
This is 680 News at 10:38. The city of Vaughan is taking a different approach to Canada Day this year in light of COVID-19. As 680's Phil Martino tells us, it will be a virtual celebration.
When our nation's birthday rolls around this year, the city of Vaughan will be hosting its first ever virtual Canada Day celebration. This will allow the residents of the city to mark the event safely from the comfort of their homes. Mayor Maurizio Bevilacqua says it's the right thing to do.
We need to take all necessary precautions and preventive measures to make sure that the COVID-19 stops spreading throughout the community.
So what's it going to look like?
There's also going to be a portion of it dedicated, obviously, to COVID-19 and what COVID-19 has done to our community. And by that, I mean it in positive terms. How the community has come together, how the frontline workers have shown the very best of what citizenship is truly all about.
No word yet on the lineup, but planning for the online Canada Day event is underway. I'm Phil Martino.
Still to come on 680 News, traffic and weather together on the ones, but first we'll check where the price of gas is going at midnight. 680 News time, 10:39.
DC Energy knows that homeowners look forward to spring for tackling home improvements. It's also a time for construction and excavation, whether it's installing a deck, fence, pool, or planting a tree. Visit OntarioOneCall.ca. Ontario One Call is a free service available.
See how civil the nations in Ontario? They know we're stupid. One call. Don't dig a hole until you make one call.
It's an action that could save you time, money, and keep you safe. A message from TC Energy.
A message from a company that's having dozens of pipeline explosions.
Now it's your motherfucking party when I walk in the door, man. I'm bottles full of liquor all over your house, man. Let me tell you something quick. If you don't know by now that I'm a motherfucking loud boy, drunk and loud. I give a fuck about the cops that pistol sounds. So tell your baby daddy chick before we get knocked out. I'm doing rails and drinking liquor, trying to heal my pain. Don't need a motherfucking hand trying to get in my way. You never party, motherfucker. I'll be gone for days. Banging bitches at the bar in the bathroom stall. I'm doing rips off the kitchen, then I hear last call. So I'ma hit the venue, walk the head straight to the party. Getting drunk, then I'm motherfucker lagging out. Till the world starts spinning, around and around. Till the break of dawn, till the sun comes out. Better come and grab the girl, I should've passed around. I'm high, so high. You can tell from the blood shot guys. I'm drunk, so drunk. You can tell cause I don't give a fuck. I'm high, so high. drunk, so drunk. Yeah, 'cause I don't give a fuck. I'm high, so high, so high. I'm drunk, so drunk, so drunk.
Yo, it's Sartain and the King.
Yeah. All my soul is caught in the struggle.
This is that real shit. Keep opening goals and you can get her real quick.
I'm seeing people getting sick that weren't sick at first. They thought this whole thing was jokes. They thought it was funny. They don't want to look me in the face when I say, oh, you got the same thing I got.
I am what these streets made me. Still screaming, fuck the other side. It's speaking everything, all day. And I'ma be this way every day, always. You reminded me the world of me, the world of me. If you ask me, my love is choice to be green. If I could have spent all day laying out in the money tree. Yeah, I reap the benefits of the cocaine. Only way for a real thug to survive.
Money tree, but it's what I'm gonna call from. Underground. Ontario, place to grow. Toronto, the trees stand in water. Can you fucking sneeze?
Workers in the kitchen cooking, no, we keep it fired up. Watching but never wait for the catch us. We keep it low key every time we make a move. Better off to step aside when you see us coming through. Money in the duffel bag, it's so hard to get the guap. Thinking of the re-up and bring the product back to the shop. Package it up, take it out, collect cash and large amounts. I don't chase the paper, baby, I'm only chasing the dream. I'm moving so much weight, I'm eating hustling in my sleep. The way I'm doing it, you mad as well, call me your beast. I will try to get up in my way, no you can never stop me, I promise I will never change. So even if I ever leave the hood, I'm coming back, cause I'm a product of the hood, this is where my heart is at.
Those would be respiratory droplets. Please remain 2 meters away at all times. I gotta get that fucking monophone. I didn't even think to do that today. Hardware stores, essential businesses. Motherfucker, I didn't understand it.
It's hard not
I know how to find out.
Stepping like an outlaw in this hood, up to no good. Smoking on something, sipping on something. Stepping like an outlaw in the hood, up to no good. Smoking on something, sipping on something.
Mama told me stay inside, cause the streets are cold. Little man, see money, yeah, the streets go. See him on my own, in the whip, can't go. My heroes out with Chino, the Nero, and out the pole. Lost in the road, looking for a place. Everywhere I go, it's like I'm running in a race at a tourist pace. So I'm watching my own round, man. These levels so hard, it's never easy.
had to talk on the good just to get me higher. Running in the streets with H, wicked so tired. Eyes fire, made it this far. Struggle every day, you be this long. It'll never end, so I'm like an outlaw. Outlaw, let him out, y'all. I stuff is like I'm living in the trap. I be going through the top, and I never turn the hardware store is open. In this hood, up to no good, smoking on something, smoking on something, sipping on something, sipping on something.
Somebody knows going upside down, cooking, my nose starts running, and I'm sneezing and shit. No fucking music.
Smoking on something, ain't like breakfast, you know what it is. Something like an outlaw. Black flag up, I'm hearing signs in my head. Man, I think I'm fucked up. As a matter of fact, I'm wondering where the fuck I am. Just releasing already up to no good to get. Drugs in my pocket, gun in my head. Lord, when we're dead, I'm just waiting for support to kill me. But you probably have to be something like an outlaw, something like a gangster to feel me. Till then, I'ma pour my liquor in the glass and be fucking filthy. I'm sipping till I don't give a fuck. And now I'm in the middle of the street fucking random people up. God, that's why I'm getting high. I'm a mama that I love her, cause tonight might be my last night. I tell her don't pray for me.
I might have lost my chance, my pants to get the monocle.
Gang like the only lights on me. And like an outlaw, in this hood, up to no good. Smoking on something, sipping on something, sipping on something, sipping on something. And like an outlaw, in the hood. Up to no good, smoking on something, smoking on something, sipping on something, sipping on something.
Outdoor power equipment, rain barrels, brooms, brushes, mops and pails, barbecues, generators, gas cans. Oh, the front page. You guys know the target market.
Something more, something more, something
more.
It'll
be fucking open.
It's something you can feel. Something more, something more, something more real. Something from my heart. It's something you can feel. Something more, something more, something more real. In my whole life, I struggle with pain. My stepdad in the bathroom trying to find a good vein. Meanwhile, I'm trying to stay clean. Everywhere I go, it rains. Even the ceiling got water stains. Yeah, I wish and I pray that the devil go.
Survival got me bugging.
Get your ass up out the car, nigga. Get the fuck out. Break yourself, nigga. Break yourself. Fuck school on the streets. Don't need a GED, crack. What the working class sleeps. Live my life on the beat. No matter what, I'ma eat. If I'm a burn for a plate, might as well make it a feast. I go hard till I'm in that box. A little baking soda mixed with cocaine. Now we cooking rocks. Can't see too many chops. I know they surveillance me. Fuck them, let them watch. Satan's calling on me, y'all on the clock. I have this dream. Every night it's the same.
I think we got these fancy cell phones to take pictures and videos from long range.
I call it get mine by any means. Yeah, the KID.
We don't post all that shit on Facebook.
Sad man putting to sleep like rock bye, baby. Will the sun come up tomorrow? I don't know, maybe. Yeah, I don't know, maybe. Yeah, boy.
What you
lost its way. Nothing good here on the balance way. Yeah, boy, done lost its way. Fucking with your mind, so what you ready to say? Yeah, boy, done lost its way. Nothing good here on the balance way. Yeah, boy.
Hold on, let me get some out of the way. I want the real weather report. I had this out of the way. It's going to rain at the same time the temperature is going to drop to 0. That's going to be snow or ice or something. I just know they're bullshitting us on something. They're leaving something out or something. What day is it? Saturday, right? Saturday night. It's not even midnight yet.
Welcome to Environment Canada's Weather Service. Bienvenue au service. For the City of Toronto, press 1.
Of course.
For the forecast for the next 7 days, the Environment Canada forecast issued at 3:30 p.m. Saturday, April 11th for tonight, Sunday, and Sunday night. City of Toronto, for tonight, partly cloudy. Wind west 20 kilometers per hour, gusting to 40, becoming light this evening. Low +2. For Sunday, cloudy with 60% chance of showers. High 11, UV index 4 or moderate. For Sunday night, periods of rain. Wind becoming southeast 20 kilometers per hour near midnight. Low 8. Extended forecast, Monday, rain. High 17. For Monday night, cloudy with 40% chance of rain, showers or flurries. Low -1. For Tuesday, a mix of sun and cloud with 40% chance of flurries or rain.
Tuesday's too far. Okay, fucking high 17, low -1. Chance of flurries or rain or snow. Okay, so I didn't mention that for Monday. No, I thought it's gonna rain tonight. I'm sure. What the fuck was I doing? I was listening to this.
I was raised up west side, money motivated minds. We ain't standing corners, how would these be on the block and grind? Do this all the time, every day, you know I gotta ride. Money be a girl, say goodbye, cause now the bitch is mine. It's just another day, another crime, we live in the devil's way. Like renegade, watching two big raise, these are the end of days. Get on your knees and pray like you're about to meet the Lord today. Slowly starting to fade, lost, slipping into an unconscious state. You don't want that faith, living life in the hood, it's for the soldiers, on your folder. The paper I use for my kush, time to roll up. So I had court never showed up or what? So the lawyer get fucking get more bucks. What that mean for a nigga like me? I might rob your whole family tree. Yeah. What that mean for a nigga like me? I might rob your whole family tree. Yeah, boy, done lost his way. Walking with your master, ready to sing. Yeah, the boy, done lost his way. Nothing good, all the time was playing. Yeah, the boy, done lost his way. Walking with your master, ready to sing. Yeah, the boy, done lost his way. Nothing good, all the time was playing. Yeah, the boy. Going hard till my number call. Trust me, dog. You ain't prepared to do what I'm prepared to do. Work the car. The artillery I got, cause you ain't have to get chainsaw. Ready to tack, bag down. Stop, listen, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Murder in the first degree, homicide in my crib, harassing me. She was jamming the needle in her arm, now she can't speak. It's a cold world that we live in, take it from me. Yeah, in the end, everything I see and have seen is but a dream within a dream. Long days, cold nights, summer face. This the life that we live, this the life that we live, this the life that we live, motherfucker. This the life that we live, this the life that we live, this the life that we live, motherfucker. This the life that we live, this the life that we live, this the life that we live, motherfucker. This the life that we live, this the life that we live, this the life that we live, motherfucker. This that new shit, that gang life revolution. You don't wanna fuck with this, I got homie on standby, ready to let it rip. I suggest you close your lips, stop bumping your guns before you hurt someone you love. No remorse for my gun, no regrets for these tips. Cross me and I'll take your bounce shit. Got an M16, copied up the black market shit. Big guns, big clips, you don't want any part of this. I'm on that leave you retarded shit. We ain't shit, I can't fuck who started it. Try to see how far you get. 4 goons in a stolen whip. Fuck your whole day up, fucking clown. Should've paid up. Not a great nigga putting in work, covering your coffin in dirt. As far as I'm concerned, yeah, he got what he deserved. This the life that we live. This the life that we live. This the life that we live, motherfucker. This the life that we live. This the life that we live. This the life that we live, motherfucker. This the life that we live. This the life that we live. This the life that we live, motherfucker. This the life that we live. This the life that we live. This the life that we live, motherfucker.
Bastard sticks, the little tiny ones, the ones you don't see because you're looking for them. I look for them. The ones that rip the paper at the last second, and they're always in the back half of the drum. It's in the first half, and no one's gonna notice.
There ain't no peace, all I see is violence in the streets. Junkies in the alleyway, homie broke his by any means. Random robberies just to feed. Who's has imagine what it's like to be me? It's just the nature of the beast. No warning, we just sick of cheat. We rip the competition apart. Once the gun goes off, it can start. He played until he passed on. A grown man crying like a hoe. What a sad song. All my soldiers put your flags on. We gon' bang to the song. I keep the strap like an ace in the hat. Yeah, I'd rather get caught with it than with it where I'm at. Got no time for rats. Tell broken they can kiss her ass. We don't talk to police, got no respect for the bad. That's why I keep the gun and mask right next to the staff. You can't play me. It's the nature of the beast. The nature of the beast. It's the nature of the beast. Say you can't play me. It's the nature of the beast. The nature of the beast. Nature of the beast. Say you can't play me. The nature of the beast. The nature of the beast. Say the nature of the beast. Say you can't play me. The nature of the beast. The nature of the beast. Yeah, the nature of the beast. I'm jumping on deck with my hand on my tech. Disrespect the mob, get your face in your lap. You claiming you hardcore, but doing bass in the trap. I'm loading my gun up, where the fuck boys at? It's murder, homie. Don't talk shit, get your burner, homie. Chrome on me, and I'm down for the first degree. First 48, and my cousin on tape. Cutting the cop up with a 30 razor blade. These days are crazy, but we stay getting paid. Fuck with the boss, all your homework is great. I'm hanging with real killers, fighting with drug dealers. My city is a melting pot, controlled by the devil's plot. Don't care if you're ready or not, leave you down on the block. We step ahead of the cop, G's up, hoes down. I'm joking around, catch you smoking a pound in your hood, holding it down. Killer King, holding the crown. You can't play me, it's the nature of the beast. The nature of the beast, it's the nature of the beast. Say you can't play me, it's the nature of the beast. The nature of the beast. Nature of the beast, say you can't blame me. Nature of the beast, the nature of the beast, say the nature of the beast, say you can't blame me. Nature of the beast, the nature of the beast, yeah, the nature of the beast. You ain't gangster, all you do is talk, you some fat up wankster. Stuck up in the bench, you get checked up, wankster. Penetrate the score with my banks up, banks cut. Start to pick the walls when you stay blind. Keep your fucking flags and your chains up, danger. Creeping in the average, you ain't wrong. Touch take you away from the gangsta. Racer, ain't no picture points, then we split slots. Raced up in the gutter lanes where we laced up. Slam drums, ain't no other way, homie, can't go. Banker, boy, till it dawn for a gangster. Takes one, the same thing, then I can't cut straight up. Insane quakes with our brains nuts. Place pop up and fucking with the Mary J. Slam. Make what's all about the robbery back up. March, cause we gangsters, ballin', you bet wrong. You can't play me, you can't play me.
Partly cloudy and 4 degrees. Right now in downtown Toronto, it's 8 degrees with a clear sky, feeling like 6, and the same over at Pearson Airport. Tim Chapman is our evening show editor. James Mackin is holding it down at the digital desk, and Amber LeBlanc is our news director. 680 News Time, 11 o'clock.
The beat, yeah, see, officially, it is now military 11 o'clock time, and it's period.
Toronto.
Good evening, this is Saturday, April the 11th. I'm Eden Steva, and I'm Veronica Thor. Here's what's making news right now. From education to
that box is actually
Toronto
welded to
police
the antenna.
down
It
on
just
those
sits there,
not
solar
following
powered.
physical distancing protocols.
The Ford government is extending the province's COVID-19 emergency measures as Ontario reports its highest single-day increase to date.
It's a $73 billion deal aimed at making sure Canadian businesses and employees can stay on their feet during this pandemic. The wage subsidy program has passed the House of Commons.
Along those stories,
the idea was give enough money to
for
stay
a second
home.
time after an eighth
Otherwise, they're going to be out roaming the street and other Canadian. They're not going to
It's
sit at
a
home and
sad
die.
day for the Edmonton Oilers, along
Gotta
with
go
the
get
rest of the
something.
hockey world. Well, the Rogers Cup in Montreal is
Find
canceled.
something growing somewhere.
Sports at 15.
And coming up in business, new initiative from Walmart Canada. It's going to deliver groceries for frontline medical workers right to the hospitals they work in. We'll talk to the company about that and about its online grocery delivery backlog.
I don't know about that, but
6:80 news time, 11:01. Time for traffic and weather together on the line.
anybody figure out that you
This
might,
report
like,
is brought to you by
why are the
TSC.
medical staff
Traveling eastbound on the
expected to
401 right now, the
supply
ramps
their
to the
own
407 are shut down. If you're on the
at work
southbound
if they're
427,
critical?
the ramps to the 407 are
Why
closed
don't
off as
they
well.
feed them?
And other than that, we don't really have anything else on your major routes. If you're on the Gardner, of course, there's a long-term construction. The ramp to Jarvis is
I know
closed.
they
And
have
from
a
York to
big
the
kitchen
DDP,
there 'cause they feed all the
everything is down
patients.
to just 2
I
lanes.
was getting
If
triple
you see something we're
service.
missing, give us a hands-free
But
call
they
at
can't
star
feed none of the
680.
medical people.
Get new exclusive offers every
Critical
day
as
on
they
brands
are.
you love, like KitchenAid, Dyson, Apple, It Cosmetics, and much more with TSC's Today's Showstopper. Shop tsc.ca now to discover today's Showstopper. Your next report's at 11:11 with the forecast. Here's Jason Fraser.
Well, across the GTA, we're going to continue to see more clouds develop, and even in the overnight hours, we
That's
could
where rain
start to
comes
see a
from.
little bit of drizzle or
Yeah.
some light rain showers. And we'll see the
Fucking
temperature
Environment
continue
Canada
to
did mention that's what I thought they were.
Our overnight low tonight is 1 degree.
Check everything.
And right now in
Double check
downtown
everything.
Toronto, a clear sky and 8 degrees, feeling like 6, and 7 degrees at Pearson Airport, also feeling like 6 under a clear sky. 6:80 news time, 11:02. Toronto police say the time for education is over and are now moving towards a zero-tolerance approach. This as the city's COVID-19 case count climbs to 2,065. As 680's Michelle Mackey explains, officers are now cracking down harder than ever on those who still choose not to comply with physical distancing bylaws. 2,500 cautions have been given. Now it's time for ticketing. Toronto Police Chief Mark Saunders says after a week focusing on educating the public on the physical distancing bylaw, officers will now be issuing $1,000 fines to those who do not comply.
We have seen on numerous occasions where we have multiple families that are together, they don't get it, or we'll see people that are playing soccer games or things along those lines, and we have to do everything we can to make the message loud and clear.
Chief Saunders also issuing a stern warning for anyone caught removing signs, locks, fencing, or any other physical barricade put in place by the city of Toronto.
That constitutes a criminal offense.
The blitz will continue through the weekend. I'm Michelle Mackey. This is 680 News at 11:03. The Ford government has announced it is extending Ontario's emergency declaration until April 23rd and tacking on several new measures. 680's Aaron Hashimi reports.
Premier Ford is detailing the number of businesses offering to manufacture critical medical equipment.
To date, Ontario Together has provided 7,500 leads on emergency supplies,
I thought we were up to
leading to $90 million in purchases of critical medical equipment and supplies.
Premier says these supplies will be sent directly to the front lines.
That's 5.1 million surgical gloves, 20 million surgical masks, and 250,000 face shields.
The province is also reporting 31 new fatalities, bringing Ontario's death toll to 253. And while more than 400 positive tests brings the total case count past 6,600, about 40% of these patients have recovered. I'm Seher Hashimi.
A massive deal aimed at helping Canadian workers and businesses is one step closer to becoming reality. 680's Jonathan Zekris says the $73 billion wage subsidy program is now headed to the Senate.
Finance Minister Bill Morneau explained the legislation. Businesses, nonprofits, and charities are all able to apply for the Canada Emergency Wage Subsidy if they've seen a 15% reduction in revenues this March or 30% reduction in revenues in April or May. Organizations can get 75% of an employee's wages up to the first $58,700 of their salary covered by the federal government for up to 12 weeks. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says it's the largest economic measures our country has seen since World War II. Even as we stand apart, we stand united. He's also promising the feds will keep working to make sure businesses and workers across the country get the support they need. I'm Jonathan Sechrist.
Ontario is getting a helping hand from Alberta, which is now sending us 250,095 masks. We'll also be getting 5 million procedural masks, 15 million gloves, 87,000 goggles, and 50 ventilators. In addition, BC and Quebec will also be receiving some much-needed medical supplies. Alberta will begin shipping these items next week and is willing to provide more to other provinces as the need arises.
Oh, shit. Here's my
A
ventilator.
Longo store in Vaughan is temporarily closing for a second time after an 8th employee tested positive for COVID-19. The Toronto Star reporting the grocery store closed on Western Road on March the 26th after a staff member tested positive the day before. The company says a deep cleaning and sanitization of the store was done on April 7th after another staff member tested positive. The employee has not been to the store since, and staff who worked there since March the 28th are being asked to stay home and self-monitor for the next 14 days. Staff members who tested positive will be paid in full until the store reopens.
The way you phrase
This is 680 News at 11:06.
Really
South of the border, the presidential primaries continue, and Joe Biden has won the latest one. Biden won in Alaska, beating Bernie Sanders by 10.6%. Sanders suspended his campaign earlier this week to focus on COVID-19 relief, but is still in the race as he has not dropped out. Elizabeth Warren and Tulsi Gabbard, who also suspended their campaigns, asked to be included in the tallies as well. Biden has now won 19 states. And staying stateside, U.S. President Donald Trump is taking a cautious position on when to reopen the country. This comes as White House officials are pointing to hopeful signs that the spread of the virus could be slowing down.
Don't open it.
The New York Governor Andrew Cuomo says pushing the reopening date for economic reasons is an unethical moral dilemma.
I understand the need to bring back the economy as quickly as possible. I understand people need to work. I also know we need to save lives, and we have. And one cannot be at the expense of the other.
Health experts warn reopening the country too quickly could spark a deadly resurgence that could undermine current distancing efforts. The largest school system in the U.S. with 1.1 million students will remain closed for the rest of the academic year.
New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio says it was not an easy
decision. I can also tell you it's the right thing to do. It clearly will help us save lives.
Online education has been going on since schools closed March 16th, but it's been rocky with many low-income students not having internet access.
We already can say that 66,000 devices have been distributed. We have to get 240,000 more in the hands of our kids over the next couple of weeks.
According to Education Week, as of Friday, 19 other states have closed their schools for the rest of the academic year. Julie Walker, New York.
Any level of internet service.
You're listening to All News Radio 680 News. With the NHL in full lockdown, we've seen players take to social media to show what they're doing to stay busy. Now one of the NHL's top stars is venturing into a new gig. Game show host. 687 Bennett has more.
The NHL trying to put together as much content as possible while players stay home and wait out the shutdown. PK Subban, one of the league's most charismatic players, so it's no surprise he's doing this.
Hey, hockey fans, join me, PK Subban.
NHL Hat Trick Trivia, a new weekly show. Our fans try to answer questions from their homes. Here's an idea of what to expect.
Which current defenseman for the New Jersey Devils has great looks, skill, and style?
It's you. And remember, if you end up on the show, don't worry. There's no way any of your answers are worse than this. Oh, wait, sorry, wrong show. Sorry, Family Feud, sorry. NHL Hat Trick Trivia debuts at noon on Sportsnet. I'm Simon Bennett.
Still to come on 680 News, traffic and weather together on the ones. 680 News time, 11:09.
Factual information from your trusted source. We're in this together. 680 News.
I'm here with Bill Coy.
You are in the basement of a building downtown.
Standing on your big 6-0.
I'm sitting next to my AM radio.
The applause.
Just cranking away.
About these Toro grandstand boards.
I hear the grandstand is a stand-on
board
with year-round usability.
You're not wrong. If you change out the Toro grandstand mower deck to a sweeper, a blower, or a plow, you can do almost any job quickly and easily with just one machine.
Oh yeah, if your sewer line does back up, it's like your fucking house and you got a sump pump and you pump that out, where's it go? Into the storm sewers. You're welcome.
Now Now, the 680 News gas price update. Enpro predicts the price of gas will not change at midnight, holding at 77.9 cents a liter. Traffic and weather together next. 680 News time, 11:10. At Sleep Country, we know the importance of sleep, especially.
It's probably 74 cents over on the corner.
You can't play me.
I'm gonna smoke my way through this shit. I'm gonna
Nature
cop
of the
everything
beast.
out.
The nature of the beast. Yeah, the nature of the beast.
I ain't washing nothing until I stop spitting and coughing and sneezing and shit. Yeah, I'll disinfect every day, and within 2 seconds, it'll be reinfected.
Gang members around? It might just be a losing, so my side is losing and just losing touch with the lunchbox spiritualism. Ain't it up corrupting up from multiple delirious to feel when you're weary, disappearing. Mr. King to live with luxury, but some just make appearances. The king to live with fear, shedding TV for the fingers, flipping vision, living filthy, falling victim to the city's gripping prison. About the victim, and I'm screaming, no one's listening. So listen, get your blessings into bitches, stolen innocence. I'm thinking just a figure, seeing bitches, get some minutes in my business. That's the pictures of rejected, so diminished. Shit, yo, in this shit, I'm trying to spin no seconds, that's irrelevant. Don't mess with best of rappers, cause my flesh from metal skeletons. No flesh is getting set, he's never had to get your medals. Put me militants, repel the enemies instead of rebellion. God don't care, this is how it is. Say you can pray, God ain't listening. Life ain't fair, God don't care, this is how it is. Say you can pray, God ain't listening. Stay there with your eyes open. Like a thing, it's been 4 days now. Still can't say, she has trouble sitting still. So she paces around the room, screaming. Tears in her eyes when she stands in an empty spoon. She's got a baby in her womb, and tries to father, so she left the needle to solve her problems. Yeah, she bring the baby all grown up, yeah, she all grown up, and she hate the world. I told her life ain't fair, God don't care, this is how it is. It's a cold world we live in, ain't no exceptions. The church locked up the womb, but God ain't listening. Hooker, if you hungry, take your ass to the soup kitchen. I ain't cuffing you nothing. We out. Life ain't fair, God don't care. This is how it is. Say you can pray, God ain't listening. Life ain't fair, God don't care. This is how it is. Say you can pray, God ain't listening. Till eyes are closed, these lost our minds trying to find a soul. Till eyes are closed, lost the time, trying to
That's the bug out there.
Here coming native from the hood, trying to make a buck for myself in the hood. If I could sell a piece to a piece, then I would. Cause I'm about my paper, dog, it's all good. When I roll up my dough up, cocky like Rocky Balboa. Product that the devil gon' blow up, stacking higher than the Twin Towers. Blow up on the scene like the fucking 2 towers. All I want in life is a fucking money shower. So what I cop a month is a brick cold power. My eyes low faded, smart got rated. What never get got from a pig made it. Laughing at these suckers, it's all smooth sailing. Patron in my cup in the cut where I'm motherfucking toasted. Puffing up the blunt to be toasted. If a motherfucker hates, then we rolling, rolling, rolling. So much money, so much riches. All my life I've been thug living. Got the first to pick, and then it's on. Tell my baby mama I ain't never coming home. So much money, so much bitches. All my life I've been straight living. Got the first to pick, and then it's on. Throw them in the beast, I ain't never coming home. Boys in the hood, got toys in the hood. House party bumps make noise in the hood. When I think back, dollar sign, blink that. Fuck a bitch with a fat ass, I'm the master. Sitting in the cell, all breaking aster. Living in the hell, but my seed not a bastard. Wanna keep it gangster, lane up the faster. Product of the devil, bass beat a crack in the cold beat a treble. Personifying everything, and I don't give a fuck if you don't understand. I'm on another level. You can't tell me nothing, but try and tell me something. Why the fuck you hating when I'm rolling by something? Probably cause I'm doing big things and you frontin'. Cheers to my haters, cheers to my dogs. Life of a gangster, playing till I ball. Trying to stay on top till I'm motherfucking fall. So much money, so much riches. All my life I've been thug living. Got the first to pick, and then it's on. Tell my baby mama I ain't never coming home. So much money, so much bitches. All my life I've been straight living. Got the first to pick, and then it's on. Throw them in the beast, I ain't never coming home. Stove for a heater, now I pack a heater. Money coming quicker than the motherfucking cheetah. Fresh to death, sipping the plug, sitting with a couple senoritas. I'm a soldier, to my deceased on the boulder. Living and giving a fuck the weight of the world on my shoulder. I never had a harder clip, yeah, I got this shit. Got bitches on my judge, on the cap on the shit. And this is how it is, it's how we do in the city. When you walk by with sheep, I don't feel no pity. Gotta be the fucking kitty, so what's nitty bitty kitty trying to make a fucking buck?
Don't own a dog, so there's no animals being injured.
Busy, pitbull, so got my monkey, I'm dizzy. Faded, so I'm gon' get laid to city. Packing my heater in case I get so much money, so much riches. All my life I've been thug living. Got to burst the brick, and then it's on. Tell my baby mama I ain't never coming home. So much money, so much bitches. All my life I've been straight living. Got to burst the brick, and then it's on. Throw them in the beast, I ain't never coming home. Thug living. Thug living. Thug living. See the truth in my eyes. Back in junior high, already had gang ties. Folks gloom in the back lanes, pockets full of something to hide. The city blade concealed, rest the kids but die. Knocking soul to my mind, scared to die. Black flag on my face,
I'm breaking the rules. I'm being out in the daytime, physically
legs. And they wonder mama had these because never had a chance. I just think over the scars, stick my arms to the bars to reach for God. I roll my week with pages of ripped from the Bible. I'm a sinner, all I know is survival. Keep $6 for 5-0. Jack and Nilo, Jack be quick. Jack better give me all shit before I light him up like a candlestick. Cause the killers on my team, they ain't even 18. Day and night, I'm drinking serving beans. And like I don't give a fuck. One time wanna lock me up. Go hard till I'm dead and gone. Go hard till I'm dead and gone. Live life like I don't give a fuck. One time wanna lock me up. Go hard till I'm dead and gone. Go hard till I'm dead and gone. I've been living life like this since a little kid. Could've made a movie off all the shit I did. Count so much money, turn your fingers black. Just so good, I'm making extra weight back. Pumping on the weed, sipping on the Alizé, sleeping in the limousine. Yeah, it's just another day. Mama, don't pray for me, cause I'ma be okay. I live to die by the plane. Only feel alive when I'm staring dead in the face. I'm holding the low 9, low in the door. talk. Just me and my thoughts, contemplating homicide. Trust when the sun goes down, we ride. Respect to my dog, looking on the front line. No choice, either his life or mine. Yeah, I die in the shade. Rather pull the trigger back and watch the soul fly away. Watch the soul fly away. But I
wash your hands first.
I don't give a fuck. One time when I lock you up. Go hard till I'm dead and gone. Go hard till I'm dead and gone. Live life like I don't give a fuck. One time when I lock you up. Go hard till I'm dead and gone. Go hard till I'm dead and gone.
I don't know, man. I see very few people get rid of crack. Though. I've seen it, but rarely. Oops. DJ replay. Replay.
Gang life records. Gang life records. I'm on his back. Hunger driving my motivation, no tolerance, running short of patience. Skip gold, do not collect money. That's the shit that got me dreaming robberies. When pops left it with the block that fathered me. Got a problem, load the weapon, that's how you solve it, that's what it taught to me. And it's how your face starting to bother me. Put me in the direction where the bottom be. Guess it's just how it's born to be. Some come to this world with diamonds and pearls, some come to poverty. But no one that teach us right and wrong, how could you say that we wrong? This is all we know, so gotta be right. Or maybe it's left, but it's all we got left. Not the thug until my last breath. Truly, peace of love to the ones that know me and fuck the rest. I mean it, and she know. But I walk up this door, it might be for the last time. They say the stars bring the brightest right before they die. That's why I tell her I love her just in case the day my day to shine. Father, forgive me for I sin, and I feel I probably sin again. Tell me whose blood is this on my hands, cause I can't remember. And when my neck go, I literally in the room. All my thugs, pump drugs, dump slugs, graves dug. Nah, you ain't one to bust. If you want it, better be ready to kill for it. If you want it, better be ready to kill for it. All my thugs, pump drugs, dump slugs, graves dug. Nah, you ain't one to bust. If you want it, better be ready to die for it. If you want it, better be ready to die for it.
Mexicans just got here, and they're giving them an exemption, so they can go straight to work, fucking whatever you see. I don't know what the fuck it's
magic trick, abracadabra, bitch.
Sunshine, greenhouses and everything.
It's the life, yeah, fuck you pay me. I brought the bitch with me just to show you I ain't playing. All the goons in this motherfucker know what I'm saying. But the streets gon' feel me. No, these cops don't wanna kill me or confine me. But first you gotta find me, so come find me. You bitch ass, punk ass cop.
You don't even know what they're growing.
This is something that you'll never stop. They be bumping these tracks even after I'm locked, even after my heart stops. I'm here to teach the next generation to say fuck the cops. Same way I was taught, yeah, same way I was taught. Yeah, fuck the cops, fuck the cops. All my thugs, pump drugs, dump slugs, grave dug. Nah, you ain't one to bust. If you want it, better be ready to kill for it. If you want it, better be ready to kill for it. All my thugs, pump drugs, dump slugs, grave dug. Nah, you ain't one to bust. If you want it, better be ready to die for it. If you want it, better be ready to die for it.
Hanging out in the places where you would get sick, I don't think. Who the fuck knows?
Yeah, Gang Life Records, you know what it is. Black coat on the beat, you know what it is. Yeah, I came from a broken home. Since a young age, I've been on my own. bag of rocks and a cell phone. This the world I live in. Feed myself sinning. Doomed from the start. Yeah, fuck from the beginning. I got caught today and I'm already late. Probably ain't gonna make it. Give me a chance and I'm gonna take it. Yeah, I'm out and they pirate. I put my hopes and dreams inside of pirates and turn the stove on. A life like this is hard to carry on. My family don't get what they need until the work on. I know where to find the devil. That ain't hard. But for some reason I still ain't found God. Lost soul walking with the damn. Pull the trigger, hope that it don't jam. Rather get caught with it than without it. Why I am. This life got me dreaming about a better way. Nah. Cause I'm a realist, I know nothing gon' change. Yeah. Gang life got me dreaming about a better way. Nah. Cause I'm a realist, I know nothing gon' change. Yeah. This life got me dreaming about a better way. Nah. Cause I'm a realist, I know nothing gon' change. Yeah. Gang life got me dreaming about a better way. Nah. Cause I'm a realist, I know nothing gon' change. Yeah. I'm a shooting star, running in the sky. Send God a text, still waiting for a reply. I daydream a lot, dreaming of the day I won't have to scheme and plot. Not ready for the grave yet, not ready for that box. Yeah, life in the slums, it ain't much, but it's where we from. Gotta love it, steady dark, see the cops, me mugging, middle finger up, like fuck them. Another day in the life, the weed and liquor help to make it alright. Just say homie, you're tight, yeah, I miss my dog. Forever in my heart, when we meet again, I'm going hard. On the block, ducking and dodging the rapid guard. I'm just trying to feed myself in these troubled times. Still it's chill hard, this the day I got me down. Nah. Cause I'm a realist, I know nothing gon' change. Yeah. Gang life got me dreaming about a better way. Nah. Cause I'm a realist, I know nothing gon' change. Yeah. Life got me dreaming about a better way. Nah. Cause I'm a realist, I know nothing gon' change. Yeah. Gang life got me dreaming about a better way. Nah. Cause I'm a realist, I know nothing gon' change. Yeah.
This is the real judge. Try going 3 days without coffee and sugar. On purpose. Plan it ahead of time and try doing it. Uh-oh. Oh, how'd we get to this point? No. Oh. Motherfucker, you gotta be fucking joking. 1, 2. Yeah, I can't play that one.
Going up in the wait a second, somebody's standing here. The rich men sat me at the right time to say, fuck you. He bound to make the majors, he don't even like sports. He puts free base by the book all day long. He said fuck school, instead of going to class. He left to cook the way back, pro blacks to the money stack. No such thing as a dealer with villains. All I know is
cold-hearted, bloodthirsty villain. Shit, I watch himself crack the pregnant women and children. I ain't trying to solve the problem, I'm a part of it. Fuck the world, nigga got me leaning, dropping my gun. Got a question for the Lord. Why someone always end up dead when we having fun? Through a rose on the casket, time to move on. This is where I'm from, a place of no return. A dead end block where the cracks serve. Yeah, it's cool times, still the real of birds. I know that's coming, I'm just waiting my turn. Yeah, I'm drunk, sipping into your bro. Count pennies, I ball hard. Yeah, I'm Shaq with the crack rock. Junior baby mama's crib to a crack spot. From a block away, hit a chopper spray. Better watch what you say, cause you can end up with some shells in your back. Like, have a nice day. I know this ain't no way to live where I'm from. It's the only way there is. Yeah, fuck it's the only way there is. All these other motherfuckers talking shit. Acting like they move and shit, making money, never saw a rock in your life. Too much shit, boys stand up. Ride or die shit, can't ride, can't this ain't no way to
increased credit limits. That's what you need to watch out for.
This report is brought to you by AGM Renovations. Still not really much happening on your major routes this evening. You're in for a pretty decent drive if you're out for, hopefully, essential travel only. It looks like that's what's going on, though, because all of the routes are looking very lightly traveled. We don't really have any construction or collisions or anything like that in the live lanes. Just a few ramp closures, both going on to the 407. So eastbound 401, no access to the 407, and same with the southbound 427. You can't get off the 407 from that highway. And other than that, your major routes are in great shape aside from the long-term construction on the Gardner, but that is moving just fine as well. Plumbing, electrical, furnace, water damage problems in your home, call AGM Renovations for an express service and safeguarded visit. Go to agmbasements.com. Your next report's at 11:41 with the forecast. Here is Jason Fraser.
Well, across the GTA, we're going to continue to see more clouds develop, and even in the overnight hours, we could start to see a little bit of drizzle or some light rain showers, and we'll see the temperature continue to nosedive. Our overnight low tonight is 1 degree.
Right now in downtown Toronto, partly cloudy, 6 degrees, and at Pearson Airport, clear and 5 as well. 680 News Time, 11:32.
And wet leaves. The same as
Toronto
ice.
police say the time for education is over, and they're now moving toward a zero-tolerance approach. This as the city's COVID-19 case count.
Every time they stop somebody for this, it's actually 2 people, $2,000.
680's Michelle Mackey explains officers are now cracking down harder than ever on those who still choose not to comply with physical distancing bylaws. 2,500 cautions have been given. Now it's time for ticketing. Toronto Police Chief Mark Saunders says after a week focusing on educating the public on the physical distancing bylaw, officers will now be issuing $1,000 fines to those who do not comply.
We have seen numerous occasions where we have multiple families that are together, they don't get it, or we'll see people that are playing soccer games or things along those lines, and we have to do everything we can to make the message loud and clear.
Chief Saunders also issuing a stern warning for anyone caught removing signs, locks, fencing, or any other physical barricade put in place by the city of Toronto.
That becomes a criminal offense.
The Blitz will continue through the weekend.
What's the offense exactly?
I'm Michelle Mackey. The Ford government has announced it's extending Ontario's emergency declaration to April 23rd, as well as tacking on several new measures. 680's O'Hara Shibi reports.
Premier Ford is detailing the number of businesses offering to manufacture critical medical equipment.
To date, Ontario Together has provided 7,500 leads on emergency supplies, leading to $90 million in purchases of critical medical equipment and supplies.
The Premier says these supplies will be sent directly to the front lines.
That's 5.1 million surgical gloves, 20 million surgical masks, and 250,000 face shields.
The province is also reporting 31 new fatalities, bringing Ontario's death toll to 253. And while more than 400 positive tests brings the total case count past 6,600, about 40% of these patients have recovered. I'm Seher Hashimi.
This is 680 News at 11:35. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has called it the most significant economic program since World War II. As 680's Jonathan Seacrest explains, now that it's passed in the House of Commons, it's now on its way to the Senate.
The $73 billion wage subsidy program is designed to help businesses, nonprofits, and charities that saw a 15% reduction in revenues in March, or will see a 30% reduction in April or May. Speaking in the House of Commons during a special sitting of Parliament, the Prime Minister likened the COVID-19 pandemic to a war.
But there is no front line marked with barbed wire. No soldiers to be deployed across the ocean. No enemy combatants.
You called all the fucking reservists out, buddy.
The front line is everywhere.
Technically, they're not reservists anymore.
And care centers.
The bill was passed on the division meeting. There was some opposition amongst a handful of MPs in the chamber, but there was no recorded vote. I'm Jonathan Seacrest.
Meantime, Alberta is sending safety equipment to other provinces, including here in Ontario. Premier Jason Kenney made the announcement earlier today and says that Ontario will be getting 250,000 N95 masks.
I, for one, as an Albertan and as a Canadian, could not in conscience watch us stockpile massive amounts of surplus.
Yeah, you know us badasses would have come looking for that shit.
Many of our fellow Canadians in some provinces within days of running out of some of these supplies. We are all in this together.
Alberta is also sending aid to BC and Quebec.
Magically at the hospitals.
A Longo store in Vaughan is temporarily closing for a second time after an 8th employee tested positive for COVID-19. Farmers are reporting the grocery store closed down on Weston on March the 26th after a staff member tested positive the day before. The company says a deep cleaning and sanitization of the store was done on the 7th after another member tested positive. The employee has not been to the store since, and staff who worked there since March the 28th are being asked to stay home and self-monitor for the next 14 days. They will be paid in full until the store reopens.
To stay home.
Turning stateside now, U.S. President Donald Trump is taking a cautious position on when to reopen the country. This comes as White House officials are pointing to hopeful signs that the spread of the coronavirus could be slowing. But New York Governor Andrew Cuomo says pushing the reopening date for economic reasons is an unethical moral dilemma.
Slower.
Need to bring back the
climb a hill at the top and
as
sort of levels out a bit. You still climb the fucking hill, eh?
I also know we need to save lives, and we have. And one cannot be at the expense of the other.
Health experts warn that reopening the country too quickly could spark a deadly resurgence that could undermine current distancing efforts.
Serious.
And the largest school system in the States will be remaining closed for the rest of the academic year.
New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio says it was not an easy decision.
I can also tell you it's the right thing to do. It clearly will help us save lives.
Online education has been going on since schools closed March 16th, but it's been rocky, with many low-income students not having internet access.
We already can say that 66,000 devices have been distributed. We have to get 240,000 more in the hands of our kids over the next couple of weeks.
According to Education Week, as of Friday, 19 other states have closed their schools for the rest of the academic year. Julie Walker, New York.
Canadian hockey legend Hayley Wickenheiser is helping a local nonprofit collect much-needed personal protective equipment for Ontario's healthcare workers. The Conquer COVID-19 PPE collected unused masks, gloves, and face shields at Toronto's XYZ stores today. Wickenheiser says those items will be given to family physicians and long-term care facilities in the area.
Every little bit helps, there is such a shortage right now. Our long-term care homes need it, our frontline workers need it, and we're just trying to fill a bit of we're bridging a gap while we get supplies in to make sure that we're covered for the long haul here.
Last week, Wickenheiser put out a call on her social media for donations, offering to pick them up herself in exchange for a signed jersey or a smile. Still to come on 680 News, traffic and weather together on the ones. But first, we'll check where the price of gas is headed in about 20 minutes at midnight.
Infected with COVID, because otherwise I don't want it.
We're two men and a truck. So, you're moving to a new home, and all that's left to do is to call a mover you know you can trust. Well, naturally, you think two men and a truck, since you have lots of trust. And move everything you say. Where I'm from, it's the
laws won't stop line, breaking the laws and freezing ever like a pot line. We facing the thought you won't be shot by it. I ain't taking the loss. My dog squeeze, that's a hot iron straight in the score. They could try to hide right, but you faded, you go on that. Your mama starts crying cause you fatally flawed. Your body drop it, outline, break the chalk. The shotty pop, we can outline, base to the wall. We can brawl, the pop, olive waging the war. The straight swords, it's just pop bottles, breaking the jaws. You made us know we make it top dollar, baking the floor. Just crack slinging, see the block models, breaking them more. I get five rocks, swallow them, taking the chore. But if I see them cops follow when we shaking them more. The kid is living in chaos, the changes before. We being novel, man, this is we dangerous. Doors walk, let it bang, let me walk in the cages. Slang every day till we locked in our cages. Walking my way, and you dropping your great bitch. Talking your name till you lost to the pavement. PK, shut up on the story in my profit to say that your carpet's a paste in a heartless place. All lost in my brains, if we walk with a gang, stay on to dangerous. I know this ain't no way to live where I'm from. It's the only way there is. I know this ain't no way to live where I'm from. It's the only way there is.
Okay, man, are you ready to go? I'm ready to go. Now, come on, now crank this motherfucker up. Wait, listen, brother, I know for sure can rap.
Check this out. Touch that again? I'll use my left hand.
This is real life. I'm out here. Smile, cause it's the pain and the sorrow. We all live in the time that's borrowed. Like city hurricane, they swear they die when they flags. Yeah, the land of the law, over the Shadow Valley. I'm just a demon with a gun in a black alley. I'm a damn crack looking for a place. The rest of the soul, feeling like chains weighing me down, holding me tight, never letting me go. No one's going to see me if he does. Does he understand why I'm a thug? Why I'm on play in this road? Wanna get a finger up, screaming out, kill a fuck. I don't give a fuck. PK 5023, that's what's up. That's what's up. I'm a sinner. All I know is evil. All my friends are demons. This life is hell. I'm a sinner. All I know is evil. All my friends are demons. This life is I can sleep when I'm dead. Children, I'm making money off of my sins. You should find me, I was never taught how to live. All I know is do what it takes to put food in the fridge. Shadow King was been a name I never heard before. My soul recognized it as its own, and it was time to go. Slugs in my chest, so much blood, I can see the bullet hole. A couple of last words in my mouth. I'm here right. I'm still Christ, I've been with my whole life.
What the fuck was that?
I kissed the soul, everything I never had to me that feels right. So much sacrifice, no regrets in this life. And now hell's fire keeps me warm at night. And the darkness is my life. I'm a sinner. All I know is evil.
I don't know if the camera caught that. It jumped up and off the fucking thing to the side and bounced on the ground.
All I know is evil.
I didn't knock it. I didn't touch it. That was my hands for here.
This life is hell.
I don't care. You know what I mean? But the most minor thing. I know weird shit's being done. These crazy people walk up and start throwing salt at you. They can read the signs, right? I know when people fucking talk, right? Apparently I represent Satan to some people. Oh, salt. Why are you saying salt? Get the fuck out of here. No snow on the ground.
Gang life records, my kids. Hear the sound as my heart breaks. It's real cool, full of snakes. What you want me to say? Yeah, us changed, but I don't know no other way. Cause he's in the hallway. Police was apartment all day. Took a loss to his business as usual. Ain't nothing to a pirate. Coke in the pirates die before I break the silence. All I know is gold crossbow. Try to call God, all I got was a dial tone. Now lately, I don't give a fuck about nothing. $1.30 bitch, I ain't cuffing. Plus she probably already owe me something. Send it to the corner, tell her suck a dick. Just another cut of kid with dreams of being rich. Don't judge me, I ain't heartless. I just learned to use my heart less. Not too much. The grace and presence be the essence. Heaven sent this twisted kids and parents. Serving out a sentence called life. Living hellish. You embellish. You be holding on to everything you cherish. I'm an angel with the purple wings and they gleam angelic. With my halo painted black, flaming crown, my demon jealous. Contemplating with myself, forget the struggle leaves me restless. Competition with some foes that got my back against the fences. I'm learning that fucking GLR, we march forever endless. So the gates of hell are sending us prior to our doorstep. With fire at its stage, with the melody, my voice is the lyrical abstraction from the acid by the attraction. When I stand the winter pain, baby, that's all the action. More contractions, more than ATMs deposit out the asses. King Kush, purple cops for Hollywood, all the mass kids. Me and Kid beyond the maps with chaos, kicking acid. Gonna try it, it's fantastic, fucking tripping, what a habit.
Break up this many cigarettes anyway. Spilling tobacco on the floor is a prayer to natives. So, I don't know. But mine are little irritations. Where the fuck did my cigarette case jump up in the fucking air? How the fuck does it jump up in the air? How the fuck much power is in those springs? I don't. That doesn't add up to me.
Just another day around the way. My homie just got released about the case. Got that forgiving size telling me you won't be long till he back again. Yeah, it's a fucked up world that we live in. I swear when I close my eyes, I can hear the tears of my children. So when I see you, here's the life of a G. Something that I never want you to see. I'm watching angels and demons fighting over me. Yeah, the relic is to keep my soul hardy. They call this the struggle of life. All I know is around here, it gets cold at night. There ain't no food in the fridge. Mama doesn't get paid this week. Yeah, they're yelling again, so it's kinda hard to sleep. So I'm counting sheep. I'm counting how many times God don't answer me. These cold streets, only thing that welcomes me. Yeah, I'm listening to my heartbeat. Getting high, smoking weed. I hit the blunt, pass it to my dead homie. Sometimes it takes me a minute to realize that you ain't there. Spend a lot of time talking to myself like you're still here. Only thing I can do is pour my liquor on and send you my prayer. Just another day living in the hood. Just another day around the way. Feeling good today. I didn't die today. Just another day living in the hood. Just another day around the way. Good today, everyone's here to stay. It ain't unusual to hear gunshots. On my side, detectives on the corner taping out the murder spot. The jack boys down the street saying, give me what you got. Little homie pushed the back. He hustle hard to get that watch, so we refuse to give it down. One shell from the clock, laid him on the box. Now someone else is wearing that watch. Yeah, it's a cold world, better learn to hold your own. What's the next tombstone if they cut might be your own? Cause someone please explain. For some reason, even though the sun's shining over here, it still rains. Lord, forgive me for my evil ways. I fear I'll never change. I'll always be this way. For some reason, we just gotta learn the hard way. I pump packs to Selkirk to Broadway. I'll be repping for my city every day, all day. From your black flag cup, let's just feel me. It's gang life, motherfucker, till they kill me. Kill me. Just another day living in the hood. Just another day around the way. Good today, I didn't die today. Just another day living in the hood. Just another day around the way. Good today, it's here to stay.
Break it all up. Every last bit I could find. Drop it. Jumped up and ended up I don't think the camera didn't catch it. There's no way to catch it. I might have caught my hands both in the shot.
Fly to the next guy, so high, I could touch the sky. Yeah, I'm ready to die, put my life on the line until I hit flat line. I'm a soldier, gangster war. So much success, man, I can take a loss. No matter the cost, I'ma give it a war. Even if it means I spend the rest of my days behind bars. Hell yeah, my face scar, life's hard. Now your fights is, but it's time talking to God. We on the road, it's cold and we all up. The cops on the way, so it's time for me to go. One time, looking for me. I guess no sleep, I said it one time. Looking for me, new rest on this block, man, don't ever let me be. New year, new war. Yeah, I'm used to this shit by now. Ain't nothing but that. Just another gun with a chain and a cold. Hit the weed, hit the coke, got a pocket full of dope. Y'all kids give me hope. Looking in the eye, see a piece of myself. That's why I hustle hard so they never have to pay guard. And state people like me, they don't make it very far. I slept in my seat cause I see a cop car. One time looking for me, they wanna lock me up and throw away the key. Having nightmares when I sleep. Wake up with the devil laying next to me. I can only blame me for this life I lead. This life for all the dogs. Running from the Lord to get away. Got a stolen car. You rest on this block when you watch for the cops. I know I'm looking over my shoulder cause it never stops. One time. Looking for me, no rest on this block, man, I guess no sleep, I said it one time. Looking for me, no rest on this block, man, they'll never let me be.
people for lots of the soldiers singing ballads. Don't bring me box, so motherfucker, I'm red. If you see me, it's hostile. Until they put my suit and fill my pockets with dry roses. And I'm frozen in my last clothes and the box closes. I'm never faded, my ankle will not low. And I'm going over off, but I'll never be high low. My popcorn turn more keys than a lock. Golden coppers put the key behind the chrome. It's a lock. On the streets is crack pipes, close to witness and blind nose. Neutral and narrow with money's involved in it now. Roll colossal, city gripping on me like a lasso. My claims paint a perfect picture like Picasso. We a lasso when the box is closed. Let us fall with the walls when the walls is snow. At the crossbow, get the chop and slow. We a lasso, motherfuckers, we lasso. We a lasso when the box is closed. Let us fall with the walls when the box is snow. At the crossbow, get the chop and slow. We a lasso, motherfuckers, we lasso. Shit, man, my records. You're my brothers. Yeah. Free drama, free pain. Free the pain. Stand up, the place where I'm from. The cut of the slums. Yeah, my family destroyed by the drugs. On my bitch straight to prison. Dear Lord, they co-descended. We just call it living. Crack kids sitting out the fucking building. Ain't a rapid civilian. I plan to stack $1 million. Yeah, they keep on telling me I'm on the mouth of shit. I just feel my balls and tell a nigga no, I need a dick. Dear Lord, that's that real shit. Real shit. Got the real goons in this bitch. Real guns, real clips. Kill your ass real quick. I played the fifth, nah, I ain't seen shit. He said he felt butterflies in his stomach. Right before we pulled it. Now the body leaking blood, getting colder. Screaming free pain. My team make the front page. These are troubled times. Call it every day. We a lasso when the box is closed. Let us fall with the walls on the cross is snow. At the crossbow, get the chop and slow. We a lasso, motherfuckers, we lasso. We a lasso when the box is closed. Let us fall with the walls on the cross is snow. At the crossbow, get the chop and slow. We a lasso, motherfuckers, we lasso.
Marketing at ratehub.ca. At the Business Center, I'm Carl Garnage.
This is your weather station, 680 News.
Hi, I'm Anthony Longo. Our family has been proud to serve
Did you
Ontarians
just
for over 60
fucking
years.
tell us that
And like your family,
Longo's
we're doing our best to
infested with
stay
COVID
positive
twice?
during these challenging times.
Challenging
I'd like to
times.
thank all our team members
Challenge.
for their
Put
continued
up a sign
commitment
that
to
says
serving our
wash your damn
community.
hands and don't
And I'm
sneeze on
grateful
the
to our
food.
loyal guests for being patient with us and with each other while we
You
do our
did
best to
something.
keep our shelves stocked, our
You
stores
didn't
clean,
pay
and our
somebody
community
something.
safe.
Something happened, buddy.
Even though we're all trying to keep our distance, I hope this experience
Keeping
will
your
bring us all
distance.
closer
You already
together.
fucking
Thank you.
contaminated the food or
You
something.
suffer from anxiety and
They told
depression
us
during this
already, buddy.
pandemic, and now your claim for disability is denied. My name is Aaron Waxman, and during this pandemic, we are open and working for our clients from our homes. If your disability claim is denied for any reason, call me at 416-661-4878
Who's watching Office Towers downtown,
or pound
man?
LTD
No
on your
such
cell
computer
phone.
equipment
And
down
before
there.
you call, you should always remember that there are no bad
Office
questions.
chairs, everything.
416-661-4878 or pound LTD.
Be the first to know. Breaking news as soon as it happens. 680 News.
Yeah, like an
Checking
hour
some
after
regional
that.
weather conditions in Hamilton, partly cloudy and 5 degrees. In Markham, clear skies and 4 degrees. In Oshawa, clear and 4 degrees. In Richmond Hill, partly cloudy and 3 degrees.
Good, I want the
In
Mexicanos
Uxbridge,
to have a
partly
nice
cloudy
clear
and 2
night,
degrees. Right
whatever
now in
day.
downtown Toronto, we have a partly cloudy sky. It's 6 degrees, feeling like 5.
Straight to market and
And
start picking
similar
apples.
conditions over at Pearson Airport,
Stay with
6
the
degrees,
apples.
feeling like 4. Tim Chapman was our evening show editor. James Mackin joined us at the digital desk. Amber LeBlanc is our news director. 680 News is CFTR AM Toronto. Turning things over to All News Radio, it's midnight.
Breaking news. This is All News Radio.
I'm Josh Ritchie. You're listening to a national newscast. Here's what's making news
right now. So we found out when they switch over, right at midnight.
The wage subsidy program has been passed by the Senate. The $73 billion deal aimed at helping Canadian workers and businesses is coming closer to becoming a reality. And Ontario reported 31 new deaths Saturday, the deadliest so far. This as businesses there reach out to the Ontario government about helping manufacture supplies.
Premier Jason Kenney announcing 1 new death in the province and equipment packages for BC, Ontario, and Quebec.
The work of cleaning staff is even more important nowadays, but it has always been important. And the union says it's time for improved compensation and protections.
That their work and their contributions are recognized.
Yeah, but you're not talking about all the janitors everywhere. You're talking about like a real specific subclass.
Oiler Colby Cave after experiencing a brain bleed. More at 15.
You're probably already on a contract.
With the market ups and downs, how much advice are you getting from your financial advisor? Investors are clamoring for more information. A new study shows that communication is key for the industry.
More on these stories coming up in 1 minute on All News Radio.
I don't follow nobody's money advice.
From the 680 News Traffic Center, I'm Michael Ranger. This report brought to you by Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. We do have one issue to look out for, eastbound Gardner at Jameson. A crash there, cruiser in the right lane. So you've still got the 2 left lanes getting by and everything remains up to speed. Roads are lightly traveled. We've also got the ramps closed to the 407 from the eastbound 401. That is for overnight construction. And we've also got the ramps to the 407 from the southbound 427 shut down again for overnight construction. Ruth's Chris Steakhouse would like to wish their guests the very best at this difficult time and also remind you that takeout and delivery service are now available online. Place your order at ruthschris.ca. Next report at 12:11. Now here's your forecast.
A daytime high of 12 degrees on your Sunday, so a couple of degrees warmer than our average high of just 10. There is a chance you're going to be seeing some on and off showers throughout the day. So if you are heading outside, make sure you grab your umbrella on the way out. You just might need it.
But you know exactly what there's going to be on and off showers. There's a 12. There's going to be showers. It doesn't matter if you get
$73 billion wage subsidy program has been passed by the Senate. The massive deal is aimed at helping Canadian workers and businesses make it through this COVID-19 pandemic. Jonathan Seacrest brings us more from Saturday's rare weekend sitting of Parliament. Finance Minister Bill Morneau explained the legislation.
Businesses, non-profits, and charities, they're all able to apply for the Canada Emergency Wage Subsidy if they've seen a 15% reduction in revenues this March or 30% reduction in revenues in April or May.
Organizations can get 75% of an employee's wages up to the first $58,700 of their salary covered by the federal government.
Started halfway through March, you'll get half as much
says
for March.
It's the largest economic measures our country has seen since World War II.
Even as we stand apart, we stand united.
He's also promising the feds will keep working to make sure businesses and workers across the country get the support they need. I'm Jonathan Seacrest. Well, some of the groups left out of the federal government's massive economic aid package were included this week when the Prime Minister announced some revisions.
But what happened the first time? More money sooner,
is gathering some
more
insights
money.
on emergency decision-making from someone who's been behind those closed doors.
Of course, there will be mistakes. I mean, that's inevitable.
Bob Ray has a lot of titles that begin with former Ontario Premier, interim Liberal Party leader, member of Parliament. He says, well, he's had his share of 18-hour days. He's never had to deal with a health crisis and an economic crisis at the same time. And while a government can pre-plan to some extent, a lot of it is just improv.
You have to rely on the people who are actually inside the circle of government who are doing the job and who are, able to, manage and are familiar with all of the competing messages that are coming in from so many different sources.
Ray adds the danger for leaders is to have that circle become too small, which may leave out critical perspectives. I'm Curtis Doring.
Ontario suffered its deadliest day thus far, reporting 31 new deaths from the virus, bringing the total there to 253, as well as reporting an additional 411 cases. The Ministry of Health says that nearly 3,000 of those cases in the province are resolved, which is just over 40%. This comes as Ontario Premier Doug Ford says 14,000 businesses in the province have reached out about helping manufacture supplies to help the fight against COVID-19. He says the community efforts have led the province to purchase $90 million worth of supplies, including millions of face masks and surgical gloves.
These are private citizens stepping up to get desperately needed equipment who are brave men and women in the front lines.
Ford said the province recently received a shipment of moldy swabs and said it's important to manufacture products in Ontario to ensure they're up to standard.
Yeah, they're going to say,
Expanding support countrywide, Alberta is sending supplies to BC, Ontario, and Quebec to meet their ever-growing demand. Ryan Running Rabbit explains the move.
Premier Jason Kenney announcing that N95 masks, gloves, goggles, and ventilators will be part of support packages.
It'll say Trill Core. Somewhere on the rubber band it'll say Trill Core.
Is and will continue to be met. These items are being shipped next week, and Jason Kenney says Alberta is willing to send even more as additional need is discovered. Again, the Premier is stressing that the province will have enough supplies here for Albertans.
Because we are so well equipped, I'm pleased to announce that we are able to contribute 750,000 N95 masks, 4.5 million procedural masks, and 30 million protective gloves to provinces that are right now in need.
On the state of COVID-19 in Alberta, there has been one additional death related to the virus. 69 new cases have also been confirmed. I'm Ryan Running Rabbit.
International border crossings are shut down to anyone who isn't deemed essential, and as Jonathan Mima reports, several provinces and territories are taking steps to monitor and restrict those who are coming and going at their own borders.
It's a step many provinces have taken, but UFC economist Trevor Tombe doesn't think there's a strong case to go any further in sealing the borders.
Those people crossing borders, they're not crossing to go skiing. They're crossing because, for the most part, they're truckers transporting vital goods and supplies and equipment, food in particular.
Whether provinces have the legal right to shut down borders is also up for debate. Section 6 of the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms allows for free movement, but given what's happening, that may not apply to people who just want to visit friends and family or go on vacation.
If health authorities feel that people are not staying home to the extent that they should, and that's a broader issue than border crossings specifically. And interprovincial trade is a federal jurisdiction. So it certainly does raise questions.
I'm Jonathan Muma.
Fuck you.
Meanwhile, in Quebec, Premier Francois Legault is assuring Quebecers that he won't reopen schools and daycares currently under a COVID-19 lockdown unless he gets an all clear from health officials. Legault sought to calm parents and pushed back on comments that he made Friday that schools and daycares currently closed until May 4th could be up and running by then. Legault adds it's clear that some people will be reluctant to send their kids to school and daycare regardless of the timing.
But what I want to be clear about the reopening of schools is that it will not be done until we have first the agreement of the public health, and second, that I have personally the assurance that there's no risk for the children and for the teachers. So it's clear.
Quebec health officials announced 48 more COVID-19 deaths in the province on Saturday, bringing the total to 289. As concerns grow about shortage of personal protective equipment, Karen Seolin with City News has details on some of the work being done to help frontline workers.
Surgical masks are supposed to be used just once, but as shortages arise, Canada's top doctor, Teresa Tam, says experts are looking to see if masks and other equipment can be disinfected and reused.
It is one of the most important and I think worthwhile lines of pursuit for PPE right now.
While work is still underway looking for the best science to decontaminate used equipment, Tam has this message for the provinces and territories.
Certain things shouldn't be thrown away right now.
In his daily briefing to Canadians, the Prime Minister also commented on international competition for life-saving masks.
Prevent people from doing what you want to do.
Saying he hopes to convince the U.S. President that blocking exports of critically needed medical gear to Canada will harm both nations. I'm Karen Seolin.
I know these people, they'll be making
In BC, the mayor of a town on Vancouver Island set up what he calls an information station outside the town this weekend to check on people on their way in. Ray Bernard is in Vancouver and says it seems some people were looking for a nice way to spend the long weekend in the midst of the pandemic.
The roadblock was manned by RCMP and Parks Canada on Thursday and Friday. Tofino Mayor Josie Osborne says they were asking the travelers where they were from and where they were going. Most of them, she says, were legitimate residents, but there were a handful of second homeowners that were coming into their properties, as well as some true tourists, people who were literally out for a drive or were planning on coming out for the weekend. She says quite a few of the visitors were convinced to turn around. She points out all of the areas, parks are closed, and so are the accommodations and restaurants. I'm ready, Bernard.
What's wrong with you?
It's 10 minutes past the hour. You're listening to All News Radio.
Everybody went home, so it's a good time for us to go out.
New Life Fertility Center isn't going anywhere. We're doing our part by closing 6 of our locations and not taking on new patients. We're taking extraordinary measures to keep one location open so that we can continue to monitor those already well on their way to starting a family. When Canada is back up and running strong, count on New Life Fertility Center to be there, helping to ease the financial burden of IVF treatment. Until then, New Life wishes you good health. Stay safe.
Have you heard about direct lending? It's more flexible than bank lending without the bank. With tougher regulations after the financial crisis, traditional banks have cut back on lending to homeowners. With a home equity loan from Capital Direct, the money that you could use is a simple phone call away. Whether it's home renovations, college tuition, or you just want to pay down taxes, Capital Direct can help. Go direct. Call Capital Direct today at 1-800-NEW-CAPITAL to see what's available for you. CA.
Coronavirus updates and breaking news.
All on the Be the First to Know newsletter.
Sign up now at 680news.com.
I did. You never sent me nothing. Neither does the Premier. Neither does Amber Alert or Silver Alert. And nobody sends me these messages.
Gardner and on the eastbound Gardner Expressway, as you travel past Jameson, a collision. Crews are on scene for this. Right lane is blocked. Some cars slowing down going by this because of all the flashing lights there. No real delays. Roads are very lightly traveled. Other than that, just dealing with a little bit of overnight construction that has a couple of ramps.
You want to be an idiot that crashes? Why did you slow down?
Southbound 427 ramps to the 407. Yes, you can still hire the Gardner to keep your yard green. No, you don't have to come here. So look at all the things the Gardner can do for your yard at HireTheGardener.com. That's HireTheGardener.com.
That's why they have the flashing lights for.
12:21 with now. Here's your forecast.
A daytime high of 12 degrees on your Sunday, but there is a chance you're going to be seeing some wet weather throughout the day. A low of 8. Monday it warms up to 16 degrees, quite a bit warmer than our average high of 10. It's going to be rainy and windy, though, a low of 0. Your high for today, though, it's 12 degrees.
It's Sam Pike. Sports leagues from around the continent are searching for ways to somehow resume play. It appears the NHL is looking into finishing their season in one location if they can even play at all. Simon Bennett brings us more.
We haven't heard the sound of this in a while.
I want to see the Masters play. I want to see the guys that would have played the Masters playing virtual golf.
Fans will take anything at this point.
Locations all over the damn place.
The ECHL's Brampton Beast among those who will watch pretty much anything.
This morning and I never knew there was something called marble racing.
Well, the NHL tries to come back. It might be in one location, and how's this for off the board? Sportsnet's Ellie Freeman reporting a place under consideration for this, the state of North Dakota. The discussions are very preliminary. Grand Forks has hosted big events like the World Juniors before. So many logistical issues have to be worked out, but it might appear playing games in one place, probably with no fans, might be the quickest path to resumption, even if it isn't until the summer. I'm Simon Bennett.
You're listening to All News Radio.
All News Radio.
Everywhere. Even your smart speaker.
Ask to play 680 News.
Playing 680 News.
A message from Canadian Blood Services. Reason number 2 to join Canada's Lifeline. Donated blood lasts no longer than 42 days.
I was just thinking of my sickle cell.
That's why we need donors every day. There are lots of reasons to donate blood. Book now at blood.ca.
Tomorrow, next week, and next month, the need for blood is constant. Check your eligibility to donate and book now at blood.ca. Canadian Blood Services.
Oh, yeah, that's
together,
the treatment they
we
have.
are
Blood
Canada's
transfusions
lifeline.
and bone transfusions.
I'm Adam, founder of newborrow.com, and I started our company after I got fed up with the mortgage loan process. Turns out I wasn't alone. Thousands of
We could have had all this done
They went
already.
above and
How
beyond
the
to
fuck am
help
I
me get a
supposed
line
to go
of
to the
credit.
clinic
It
when
was
it's in a
amazing
hospital?
service.
They treat me like a valued
I have to go to a doctor. How the fuck am I going to find a doctor?
Want to lower your mortgage payments
Refer me
and
to
save a
the
little
clinic at
money?
the hospital. Somehow I'm supposed to go to the hospital.
Visit newborrow.com. License 13115.
On one hand, I'm immunocompromised. On the other, I'm sick with
All News
COVID-19.
Radio.
I'm Josh Ritchie. You're listening to a
Some
national
motherfucker spit in
newscast.
my
Here's what's
face
making
before
news
you
right
ever do
now.
dinner. Thank you.
The Senate has passed a $73 billion wage subsidy program aimed at providing relief to workers and businesses hit by COVID-19. Conservative Senate Leader Don Flett called for the bill to be passed on division in that chamber to indicate that there was some opposition to the measures.
You gotta update that EI thing, man. That ain't working. That obviously ain't working.
Royal assent. And Alberta Premier Jason Kenney says his province has more than enough protective masks, gloves, and ventilators for its own COVID-19 needs, so it's sharing some of its surplus with other provinces. Kenney made the announcement Saturday where he noted that 9 warehouses are full of supplies. He says Ontario will receive protective masks, gloves, and ventilators.
We got government warehouses all over the fucking place.
And British Columbia will get masks.
Government rail cards, government everything. Yeah, we don't touch none of that. That's why they don't come after us for what we do. We don't touch none of that.
The sports world with cancellations and suspensions as leagues and events try to limit spread of the virus. And for the freshly budding XFL, it could not have come at a worse time. The XFL, who only played 5 games of its 10 games scheduled, have announced the suspension of operations and have laid off its employees. Employees were made aware of the layoffs during Friday morning's in-house conference call. The 8 franchise league is backed by the WWE and canceled the remainder of its season a month ago.
I remember hearing about
they did that. Although it promised to be back in 2021, the future of the league is now in doubt. And over in the world of Major League Baseball, the season is still yet to hit the green after COVID-19 precautions put a halt to opening day. Now anticipating a shortened season, one of the many proposals the MLB is reportedly considering is a divisional realignment that would get rid of the traditional American and National leagues. According to USA Today's Bob Nightingale, all 20 teams would head back to the spring training sites in Florida and Arizona, and a new division would be created around the locations of the camps. Nightingale says the clubs would be allowed 3 weeks of training before a regular season starts between the Grapefruit League for the Florida-based camps and the Cactus League for those in Arizona. And over in the NHL, the hockey world mourns the passing of Edmonton Oilers forward Colby Cave after he suffered a brain bleed earlier this week. The 25-year-old was placed in a medically induced coma and underwent emergency surgery to remove a cyst that was putting pressure on his brain. Edmonton Oilers president Ken Holland says Cave was a remarkable man and player.
When he was in the lineup, he did everything he could to help the team win. He was a true professional and a very well-liked and very well-respected player.
Cave scored once in 11 appearances with the Edmonton Oilers this season. Sports on the 15s and the 45s, really anytime at sportsnet.ca.
You're listening to All News Radio. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says even if every possible precaution is taken, the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic could get worse before they get better. Trudeau told the House of Commons that Canada's determination to fight the virus and the country's commitment to look out for one another might be put to the test. But he does say he believes Canadians are up to the challenge.
Even as we stand apart, we stand united in our resolve to do what we must until COVID-19 is defeated.
This came as Parliament held a special sitting Saturday on a holiday weekend to debate the government's emergency wage subsidy bill. If you don't know the rules, you better learn now or it could cost you. Toronto's COVID-19 enforcement team is conducting another weekend blitz.
I hope you hate all these
people who don't live together, who
joggers.
fail to keep 2 meters of distance between them in a park or public square could receive a $1,000 ticket.
Why not
Michelle
everywhere?
Mackey has the latest.
The physical distancing
public health. It should
crackdown
apply everywhere
starts
that's
now.
public.
That's the message from Toronto Police Chief Mark Saunders, who says the public has been given plenty of time to learn the rules.
It's been 7 full days of really clarifying what needs to be done.
They're not required to do it that way. You could just start enforcing right away.
$1,000 tickets for rule breakers will be given on a case-by-case basis.
If a 3-year-old runs into another family's physical distancing, we're not going to start laying out tickets there.
The COVID-19 enforcement team consists of 160 Toronto Police community response units, neighborhood officers, and specialty units, along with 200 Toronto bylaw enforcement officers ready to respond.
No, you're not. You
the crackdown
can't.
comes as the city of Toronto surpasses 2,000 cases of COVID-19.
3-year-old could kill you. They can't arrest them.
Meanwhile, Mounties are taking their own steps to ensure people are following quarantine measures. The Quarantine Act will give officers the right to check in with recent travelers, fine or even jail people who fail to comply. But Sarah Lehman, a criminal defense lawyer, says jail time may actually pose a greater threat with a rapid spread of the virus.
So they'll just put one of those police seals on your door, and if it's broken when they come back, they will shoot your ass when they find you.
To release nonviolent offenders and asking that we actually use jail as a very last alternative or option in terms of enforcing any of our laws.
Those nonviolent offenders are
failure to comply with the act could lead to fines of up to $750,000 or 6 months in jail. You're listening to All News Radio.
This is All News Radio on 680 News.
Looking for a more peaceful place to work from home? At Premier Suites, they
News and All
believe that
News
being away
Radio.
from home
Confusing
should
me.
never mean sacrificing the comforts and safety of home. As Canada's largest provider of fully furnished temporary
Something I can
residences
listen
with
to
fully
across
equipped
Canada.
kitchens and
That's
in-suite
the
laundry,
theory.
Premier Suites provides beautiful homes from coast to coast
Based in
with
Toronto,
24/7 guest support and professional cleaning. Choose from over 1,300 spectacular condos and townhomes across Canada. Find out more at premiersuites.com. Premier Suites. Stay safe.
Toronto is enriched by publicly owned services that help make this the best city in the world. From librarians who help us research projects, to public health nurses who keep us healthy, to recycling collectors who keep blue box materials out of landfills. These public services are integral to a vibrant and prosperous city because they're accountable to residents and good for both the economy and workers. You can support them by visiting yourcityto.ca. A message from the Canadian Union of Public Employees.
I'm gonna get one of those thermos backpacks that starts with I can't go on
News Radio.
Somebody needs to go out and hustle coffee.
This report brought to you by My Muskoka Cottages.
They have the damn trucks that should be ordered out there.
Gardner Expressway as you travel past Jameson. Crews on scene there, lots of flashing lights. They're in
always
the right
flashing
lane,
lights
still
on
two
Jameson,
open left
but
lanes
no
to get
way.
by, and everything remains up to speed.
Keep things
Roads are
safe,
very lightly traveled. Just a couple of ramp closures you'll want to be aware of
We
this
started
morning.
saying
Overnight
that.
construction
All our
eastbound
slang
401
they
ramps to
fucking
the
steal.
407 and
Stay safe.
southbound
Fuck off.
427 ramps to the 407. They are shut down. This spring, Muskoka realtor Bob Clark unveils a stunning portfolio of waterfront cottages on the Big Three. Experience lakeside luxury at its finest. Visit mymuskokacottages.com. Next traffic reports at 12:31. Now here's your forecast.
A daytime high of 12 degrees on your Sunday with a 60% chance for some showers throughout the day. A low
So
of
it's
8.
100%
Monday, it
at some
warms up to
point
+16,
tomorrow
quite a
it'll
bit
rain.
warmer than our average high of
Somewhere
just
in the
10.
city.
But it's going to be rainy and windy. Tuesday, it cools down to just 7 with a 40%
Only
chance for
enough
flurries.
to activate
Your
all
high for
the
today,
mold
12
and
degrees.
crap on
Bottom of
the
the hour
ground.
on All News Radio. We'll have more on the rare weekend sitting of Parliament and how the
It'll wash it all
$73
into the
billion
catch
wage
basins, but it
subsidy
won't
program
flush the
has
catch
now been
basins
passed by
out.
the Senate and awaits royal assent. Many businesses have had to adapt during the pandemic, with places like farmers markets having to stay open because they're considered essential, though many of them are eerily quiet due to physical distancing and capacity rules. Terrell Saskew is in Edmonton and reports that one group working at a farmer's market there
security
come up
guards
with
are
a way to bring these
versatile. I don't
farmers
know where they
markets
got them
to
from.
you.
Vendor Steven Sudo says because less people are showing up at the markets, he's seen a significant decline in sales.
We're trying not to stress out about it, but internally we are. On the outside, we're trying to
You
pretend
still
like it's
gotta
fine.
eat, dummy.
But we don't know. We don't know what the future's going to bring.
They stayed away because they told us to stay away.
From their family farm in British Columbia at farmers markets here in Alberta. To help their business during these uncertain times, they came up with the idea to create an online market.
It was more of a backup in regards of if markets go under, we need a way to figure out how to sell our product, or else we're going to be in serious trouble. We're going to go under.
When someone
get a
puts
cell
in an
phone with an
order,
unlimited
Sudo says
plan
he will
or
have it
something.
delivered within a few days
Yourself a
to a week.
GPS.
He also tells me they're planning to eventually offer curbside delivery as well.
Exactly.
Currently, there are 11 vendors, including Sudo, that are signed up for the online
Save
farmers
everybody's cell
market.
phone
He
with
says
their
the
damn
plan is to
address
grow it
number
and
and
keep
type that
adding
into
more
your
local
GPS.
businesses. Sherol Saskew, City News.
With allergy season in full swing, many are wondering, are my symptoms just allergies or
I know the
COVID-19
farmers
related? Madison
all
Fitzpatrick
have
lets us know
scales.
how you can spot the difference.
I guess
Watery
we call it
eyes,
tabletop.
coughing, and a
They're
runny
not the
nose,
full
all
size
symptoms
market
common with
scales,
seasonal
but
allergies, but now they're all associated with
you can
COVID-19.
weigh out 5 or
Health
10 pounds
specialists
of
say the
apples or
biggest
whatever
difference between the two
accurately.
is a fever. It's also
Some
helpful
of
to
those scales are
understand what the
certified by
symptoms are for COVID-19, the common
Measurements
cold
Canada,
and
whatever
flu,
it's called.
and seasonal allergies.
According to public health, common symptoms for COVID-19 include fever, dry cough, difficulty breathing, diarrhea, and the loss of taste and smell. Symptoms of seasonal allergies, however, include sneezing, runny nose, coughing, and itchy eyes. If you're still unsure, the two leading signs of COVID-19 are fever and shortness of breath, and congestion is minimal. And when it comes to allergies, there's often much more congestion and sneezing. Officials say you should consider how long your symptoms last. Seasonal allergies typically last the whole season, while COVID-19 symptoms often last between 1 and 4 weeks. I'm Madison Fitzpatrick.
I'm almost 40 and I never had allergies before. I think I know what the fuck is going on,
The world is sharing his regimen, and it has Jeff Verhoeven thinking about giving it a shot.
I mean, what else am I doing right now? Why not work out during this? Come out of it looking all super svelte?
Fuck off, stay home.
You know, someone sent me a Connor McDavid, Gary Roberts collaboration posted on social media.
Hey guys, like all of you, we're stuck inside, so here's a quick little workout. You do 15 minutes, help stay active.
15 minutes, I can handle that. Let's see. 10 squats, okay. 45-second wall sit, 10 push-ups, 30-second split squat where you hold each leg. I don't even know what that means. Do it 4 times. I'm out. I'm better off on the couch. But if you want to do it, check out Connor McDavid's Twitter.
Because
I'm Jeff Verhoeven.
This is Owners Radio.
Hey guys, for this weekend only, Untuckit is having their best of spring promotion with 25% off all their spring favorites. It's never a good look when you untuck a long, bulky dress shirt, and that's why Untuckit makes shirts specifically designed to be worn that way. Untuckit offers 50 fit combinations, so tall, short, slim, and bigger guys can experience the perfect fitting shirt. And this weekend only, you can now get 25% off at untuckit.ca during their best of spring promotion. Use promo code BEST25 for 25% off. That's untuckit.ca, code BEST25.
Stop the spread. COVID-19 can be deadly. Everyone must do their part to stop the spread of COVID-19. Ignoring self-isolation or physical distancing advice can have devastating effects and endanger the lives of your family, your friends, and your neighbors. So do your part. Don't risk becoming a spreader. Stay home and save lives. For information, visit ontario.ca/coronavirus. Paid for by the Government of Ontario.
You're a spreader.
I'm your host, Jordan.
You're being a spreader.
We'll take you through this crisis one day and one story at a time. Listen at thebigstorypodcast.ca or wherever you get your podcasts.
Now time for the Owners Radio Business Report.
I'm Mike Apple. The investment professionals say it's good to have a financial advisor during the times of market volatility, helping you navigate the ups and downs of the market. This is where those fees are worth the money, if you're getting the advice that you're looking for. Kevin Mulhern is the CEO and co-founder of AdvisorStream, helping advisors engage with their clients. For the month of March, investor demand for advisor communication spiked by nearly 50%.
Even if you go back to 87, it was true then, and then the tech bubble of 2000, and then October 2007. These are the times investors tend to not know what to do and to make knee-jerk reactions. It's these crisis points, if we want to call it that. This one really is. This is a double whammy on Canadian investors. They've got to deal with this crisis and a huge, pain and stress on the economy. But then certainly if they're approaching that retirement age, you do get worried.
Mulhern says the clients are looking for the latest information either through email or over the phone.
Don't worry about paying to go out and do stuff. You don't do that no more.
Trying to reach out to them weekly or even more frequently in some cases over the phone.
Real lucky, you might even get like free groceries delivered or something.
About that is one, they've got the phone ring off the hook, and two, they want to be focusing in on those actual portfolios.
And for an advisor who's looking to expand the client base,
we saw the largest spike ever in lead capture. And in times of volatility, retention typically becomes what advisors laser focus on. They know their clients are worried. They know their clients want facts. But we are seeing two types of investors really put their hand up. And those are investors who may have never worked with an advisor. We're getting a lot of calls from people who've never worked with an advisor, finally realize it may make sense to get guidance. And then there's another type of investor, and that's the investors who may be with somebody, don't feel they're getting the
contact giving backwards advice.
They may be looking for a new advisor.
That's Kevin Mulhern, CEO and co-founder of AdvisorStream. And at the Business Center,
I'll double check later. If I did any of the shit that these people suggested,
COVID-19 can be deadly. Everyone must act now. We must stop the spread to protect our families, Our friends, our neighbors, and especially our most vulnerable. You may be unintentionally putting others at risk with your actions. Protect others.
Unintentional. Yeah, right.
Save lives. Do your part and act now. Visit ontario.ca/coronavirus for more information. Paid for by the Government of Ontario.
We're two men and a truck. So, you're moving to a new home, and all that's left to do is
Ontario.ca/coronavirus. Toronto.ca/COVID-19.
Since you know we have lots of men and lots of trucks. They'll wrap,
I don't know, I think the beer store and Canada.ca both have the same thing pop up right away.
The choice is simple.
Both of them. It says, look up for COVID-19, and the beer store is taking back empties.
We're open for business.
It's official Government of Canada's news. It's important.
The News Watch never stops.
This is 680 News. News
Did
Radio.
we miss it? What happened?
Hello,
What
I'm
happened to
Josh
the beach?
Ritchie. You're listening to All News Radio.
You
Here's
guys
what's
broke
making
the
news
beach.
right
You
now.
broke it. You did something. That's
The
sabotage.
wage subsidy program has been passed by the Senate and now awaits royal assent. The $73 billion deal aimed at helping Canadian workers and businesses is coming closer to becoming a reality. Ontario reported 31 new deaths Saturday, the deadliest so far. This as businesses there reach out to the Ontario government about helping manufacture supplies. And expanding support countrywide, Alberta is sending supplies to BC, Ontario, and Quebec to meet their ever-growing demand. The work of cleaning staff is even more important nowadays, but it has always been important. And a union says it's time for improved compensation and protections.
That their work and their contributions are recognized.
In sports, the COVID-19 pandemic continues to plague the athletic world with cancellations and suspensions. More at 45.
And coming up in business with the market ups and downs, how much advice are you getting from your financial advisor? Investors are clamoring for more information. A new study shows that communication is key
how long the lineup
for the
is at the
industry.
grocery store.
More on these stories coming up in 1 minute on All News Radio.
In minutes, not halfway around the block. Thank you. How long is it?
407 ETR. Well, the collision that we were looking at eastbound Gardner at Jameson, that has now cleared. There was numerous vehicles, emergency vehicles on scene for this, lots of flashing lights. All cleared up now. All three lanes there have reopened.
It's a minute per person. It's the same as how quickly they check them out. Surprise, surprise.
Eastbound 401 ramps to the 407 and the southbound 427 ramps to the 407. They are both shut down. 407 ETR thanks you for continuing to follow social distancing rules. Together we can beat the COVID-19 virus. 407etr.com. Next traffic reports at 12:41. Now here's your forecast.
A daytime high of 12 degrees on your Sunday, so a couple of degrees warmer than our average high of just 10. There is a chance you're going to be seeing some on and off showers throughout the day. So if you are heading outside, make sure you grab your umbrella on the way out. You just might need it.
In the 100-kilometer-an-hour winds, that's going to be fun to hang on to. I know, that's the next 24 hours, but there's overlap of weather patterns. It's not a clean cut at midnight. That's not how it
The
works.
$73 billion wage subsidy program has now been approved by the Senate and awaits royal assent. The massive deal is aimed at helping Canadian workers and businesses. Conservative Senate Leader Don Plett called for the bill to be passed on division in that chamber to indicate that there was some opposition to the measures. Jonathan Sechrist brings us more from the rare weekend sitting of Parliament.
The $73 billion wage subsidy program is designed to help businesses, nonprofits, and charities that saw a 15% reduction in revenues in March, or will see a 30% reduction in April or May. Speaking in the House of Commons during a special sitting of Parliament, the Prime Minister likened the COVID-19 pandemic to a war.
But there is no front line marked with barbed wire. No soldiers to be deployed across the ocean. No enemy combatants to defeat. Instead, the front line is everywhere. In our homes, in our hospitals and care centers.
The bill was passed on division, meaning there was some opposition amongst the handful of MPs in the chamber, but there was no recorded vote. I'm Jonathan Sechrist.
And then use the disinfectant wipe to turn off the tap.
Deadliest day thus far, reporting
Throw that on the ground for the cleaner to pick up.
bringing the total there to 253, as well as reporting an additional 411 cases.
Save your mask.
Says that nearly 3,000 of the cases in that province are resolved, which is just over 40%. This comes as Ontario Premier Doug Ford says 14,000 businesses in the province have reached out about helping to manufacture supplies to help the fight against COVID-19. He says the community efforts have led the province to purchase $90 million worth of supplies from Ontario businesses.
including millions of face
Good,
masks
keep it low,
and
but if they
surgical
fuck
gloves.
around, they know we know they won't, because they know we know where they live.
We're retooling the economic engine of Confederation. We're turning our manufacturing firepower against this virus.
Ford says Ontario should be able to provide for itself, so the province doesn't have to rely on foreign countries for critical goods. Now, showing national unity, the Alberta government is sending supplies to provinces in need to fight COVID-19. Ryan Running Rabbit is in Calgary with more from Alberta Premier Jason Kenney.
The packages being sent out to Ontario, BC, and Quebec will include ventilators, N95 masks, gloves, and goggles.
We're going to send
Kenney
back
says for dead models and
N95
supplies that continue to arrive in Alberta, it just made sense to assist areas in need.
But I, for one, as an Albertan and as a Canadian, could not in conscience watch us stockpile massive amounts of surplus equipment while we see many of our fellow Canadians in some provinces within days of running out.
While noting that the needs of his own province are being taken care of, and he added that Alberta is also prepared to send more, as other provinces may require. I'm Ryan Running Rabbit.
And checkpoints are popping up at provincial border crossings as provinces trying to stop the spread of COVID-19. City News' Jonathan Mumer reports as the weather warms, popular tourist destinations are also asking for restrictions to make sure that you stay at home.
One recent request comes from the Regional District of East Coast, which would normally welcome thousands of campers over the Easter long weekend. Board Chair Rob Gay says it was a unanimous decision to ask BC's provincial health officer to close the provincial border to non-essential traffic.
What we really notice on the landscape is the campers, and we have seen that over the last 3 weekends. We just love the tourists. It's a big part of our economy, but this is not the time to come to British Columbia, and we're saying the same to British Columbia people.
Just sit on the fucking border, just sit there, all lined up.
For your own safety.
We are a rural area, and our hospitals are quite rural.
Every time you chase somebody down, you take a trip to Tim Hortons on the way back.
I'm Jonathan Mumer.
In Quebec, Premier Francois Legault says 31 people have died since March 13th at a West End Montreal long-term care home that is now under trusteeship. Legault says at least 5 patients at the residence died after testing positive for COVID-19.
This is a business.
The owner of this residence refused to give us access to the file of the patients, and it's only last night
on
at
his
8
ass,
p.m.
as
that
you
we
might say,
learned that
pardon
the
my
number of
English,
since March 13 was 31.
Legault says Quebec's health department has ordered an investigation, and the province's public security department has also asked for a police investigation. A town on Vancouver Island has stepped up the message.
31 people, 31 fucking days, eh? Holy
this
fuck.
coming after cars could be seen heading out of town and others being put on ferries. Renee Bernard is in Vancouver and reports a roadblock of sorts was set up just outside of town.
But the mayor of Tofino calls an information station was set up with the help of RCMP and
We're the
Canada
welcoming
on
committee.
Thursday and Friday to ask people where they were going. Josie Osborne says the vast majority were people who live in the town, but there were a handful who told the officers they were there for a visit.
So they spoke to those people and explained the context and told them that all the parks were closed, the national park is closed, the provincial parks are closed.
You're not delivering groceries to old people, then fucking stay home.
They actually convinced quite a few of them to turn around.
She points out the RCMP have no legal authority to stop people from traveling. Renee Bernard.
In Toronto, police are taking a tougher approach to enforcing physical distancing as many continue to ignore the rules. Michelle Mackey joins us with more from Toronto's Chief of Police.
Education and awareness, a thing of the past. Toronto Police Chief Mark Saunders says the public knows the physical distancing rules. Now the time has come to crack down on those not following them.
So what we're going to be doing is moving towards a zero tolerance with some common sense factors to it.
So you must keep a distance of at least 2 meters from anyone not living in your household, in parks and public squares.
That's all you motherfuckers. You don't live here. Don't get close.
Chief Saunders says this is a critical time of year to enforce physical distancing.
If we can keep our foot on the gas right now, then we know that at the end of the day, when it does get warmer,
house arrest. Stay in your house. I'm already here, motherfucker.
The physical distancing enforcement blitz will continue through the weekend. I'm Michelle Mackey.
Don't stand next to anybody ever.
RCMP will now do checkups on travelers who recently returned to Canada. Under the Quarantine Act, they can fine or jail people who fail to comply with mandatory 14
Somebody's
days
standing at the bus
isolation.
stop. I stand at the other end of the fucking bus stop.
Says this is an unprecedented move.
You can get jail time here And you can also get massive monetary fines. This is going to be a very delicate trade-off between individual liberties and community health and safety.
Defying the Quarantine Act could mean up to $750,000 in fines. The act has been in effect since the end of March. It has been almost 40 years since Terry Fox began the Marathon of Hope. The anniversary is on Sunday. Fred Fox, Terry's older brother, says given the pandemic, Terry's message of hope is more important than ever.
And, Terry's message would still be today, I think. People are still being diagnosed with cancer, and it's still important that it was 40 years ago.
Canada's still exporting asbestos.
And that would be always Terry's focus.
We're still adding MMT to the gasoline.
Since the Marathon of Hope began back in 1980, the Terry Fox Foundation has raised more than $800 million for cancer research. Nice. You're listening to All News Radio, a national newscast.
This is an important message from the City of Toronto. Stay home. During the COVID-19 pandemic, social distancing means staying home. Only go out for absolute essential needs, like food and medicine. We can't emphasize the importance of this enough. Stay 6 feet apart to prevent the spread of COVID-19. Avoid contact with others. Essential and critical services are being maintained. Please do your part. Learn more at toronto.ca/COVID-19.
Lock down the whole world.
It's a challenging time out there, and it's imperative we keep each other safe. That's why Dodds Garage Doors is changing to suit the times. Stay home and let their trusted staff take you through the showroom virtually. See all their products and ask questions.
Don't you normally have to come to my house to see? Don't I stay at my house?
The community is paramount.
I need to do garage doors.
Remember, no one does it better than Dodds.
Why would I come to you?
No one.
News
is always changing.
Now more than ever.
Listen 3, 4, 5 times a day.
This is 680 News.
Ask to play us on your smart speaker.
From the 680 News Traffic Center, I'm Michael Ranger. This report brought to you by MNP. Well, one problem we did have on the highways has cleared up. Eastbound Gardner at Jameson, there was a collision there. Crews were on scene.
Why do people keep crashing right at Jameson?
Now everything is open. No problems eastbound or westbound on the Gardner as you drive in or out of downtown. Only issues on the highways is a couple of ramp closures for overnight construction. Eastbound 401 ramps to the 407. Southbound 427 ramps to the 407. They are both shut down this morning. During these challenging times, MNP would like to thank all of our frontline workers and to everyone stay safe from MNP 310 Debt. Next traffic report is at 12:51. Now here's your forecast.
A daytime high of 12 degrees on your Sunday, but there is a chance you're going to be seeing some wet weather throughout the day. A low of 8. Monday, it warms up to 16 degrees, quite a bit warmer than our average high of 10. It's going to be rainy and windy, though, a low of 0. Your high for today,
16,
though,
low
is
0.
12 degrees.
100-kilometer-an-hour winds and rain.
With physical distancing, it's become very hard to officiate legal documents which need 2 witnesses. Erica Natividad spoke to a lawyer who applied to make virtual witnessing legal.
In Ontario, the execution of a will normally involves the physical presence of 2 witnesses, neither of whom can be beneficiaries. That means family members are typically excluded, making it more difficult to accomplish during a period where health and government officials are urging social distancing. Peter Carey and Kavina Nagrani recently brought forward an application with Ontario's Supreme Court to declare virtual witnessing valid under the law. Their application included recorded Zoom videos with their elderly clients and witnesses. Just 1 day before the application was set to be heard, the Ontario government passed the emergency order, and Carey and Nagrani virtually re-executed the will under the new law.
I think that the emergency legislation was probably partly in response to the application that we brought.
The Attorney General says he will be monitoring the changes closely with a view of having a wider discussion about it once the order is up. Erica Natividad, City News.
You're listening to All News Radio.
They're changing
big stories.
Serious laws because of
We're
this.
at home, so are you, but we've got the stories to get you through this. Listen at thebigstorypodcast.ca or wherever you get your podcasts.
My name is Aaron Watson, and in times of uncertainty, we can take solace in the fact that those that we care about, our family, our friends, and those in our community are safe and are practicing physical distancing and staying at home. At my firm, I've encouraged staff to work from home and to follow the guidelines to staying safe. I know these are difficult times, but we can take this moment to reflect on how much we have to be grateful for. I wish you and your family only peace and good health.
Hi, I'm Anthony Longo. Our family has been proud to serve Ontarians for over 60 years. And like your family, we're doing our best to stay positive during these challenging times. I'd like to thank all our team members for their continued commitment to serving our community. And I'm grateful to our loyal guests for being patient with us and with each other while we do our best to keep our shelves stocked, our stores clean, and our communities safe. And even though we're all trying to keep our distance, I hope this experience will bring us all closer together. Thank you.
This is All News Radio.
I'm Josh Ritchie. This is a national newscast. Here's what's making news right now. The Senate has passed a $73 billion wage subsidy program aimed at providing relief to workers and businesses hit by COVID-19. Conservative Senate leader
They do
Don
that in
Fleisch
criminal
called for
court.
the
I could
bill
have a
to be passed on
serious problem.
division in that chamber to
I don't
indicate
care
that
if
there
they
was
come
some
to court.
opposition to the measures.
No, I am
House of
accepting
Commons
this
approved
Zoom
the bill
video
Saturday
bullshit.
evening,
They're gonna
also
make
on
me go to
division.
court. Why is the onus always on me?
And Alberta Premier Jason Kenney says his province has more than enough protective masks, gloves, and ventilators for its own COVID-19 needs, so it's sharing some of its surplus with other provinces. Kenney made the announcement Saturday where he noted that 9 warehouses are full of supplies. He says Ontario will receive protective masks, gloves, and ventilators, while Quebec will receive masks and gloves, and BC will get masks.
I'm Sam Pike with Sportsnet. The COVID-19 pandemic continues to plague the sports world with cancellations and suspensions as leagues and events try to limit spread of the virus. And for the freshly budding XFL, it could not have come at a worse time. The XFL, who only played 5 games of its 10-game schedule, have announced the suspension of operations and have laid off its employees. Employees were made aware of the layoffs during Friday morning's in-house conference call. The 8 franchise league is backed by the WWE and canceled the remainder of its season a month ago due to the coronavirus. Although it promised to be back in 2021, the future of the league is now in doubt. And over in the world of Major League Baseball, the season is still yet to hit the green after COVID-19 precautions put a halt to opening day. Now anticipating a shortened season, one of the many proposals the MLB is reportedly considering is a divisional realignment that would get rid of the traditional American and National leagues. According to USA Today's Bob Nightingale, all 20 teams would head back to their spring training sites in Florida and Arizona, and a new division would be created around the locations of the camps. Nightingale says the clubs would be allowed 3 weeks of training before a regular season starts between the Grapefruit League for the Florida-based camps and the Cactus League for those in Arizona. And over in the NHL, the hockey world mourns the passing of Edmonton Oilers forward Colby Cave after he suffered a brain bleed earlier this week. The 25-year-old was placed in a medically induced coma and underwent emergency surgery to remove a cyst that was putting pressure on his brain. Edmonton Oilers president Ken Holland says Cave was a remarkable man and player.
When he was in the lineup, he did everything he could to help the team win. He was a true professional and a very well-liked and very well-respected player.
Cave scored once in 11 appearances with the Edmonton Oilers this season. Sports on the 15s and the 45s, really anytime at sportsnet.ca.
And Canada's big banks are giving some interest rate relief on
medical
credit cards,
issues
but
they
there are
rotate.
some restrictions. Mike Uppel reports from the Business Center.
Not to Lagos.
Banks are reducing interest rates on credit cards to provide relief to customers affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. For customers who have been approved for payment deferrals,
now we're moving on to
and those experiencing financial hardships, the TD cutting its credit card interest rates by 50% to customers experiencing a job loss, and the Royal Bank said it will reduce the charges by the same extent for clients receiving minimum payment deferrals. The CIBC is lowering its interest rates to 10.99% on personal credit cards for users who request to skip a payment. The Bank of Montreal said on Saturday it'll temporarily reduce credit card interest rates also to 10.99% for personal and small business customers receiving payment deferrals due to the outbreak. At the Business Center, I'm Mike Uppel.
As concerns grow about shortages of personal protective equipment, Karen Siolan with City News has details on some of the work being done to help frontline workers.
Surgical masks are supposed to be used just once, but as shortages arise, Canada's top doctor, Teresa Tam, says experts are looking to see if masks and other equipment
can be disinfected and reused.
It is one of the most important and I think worthwhile lines of
I boiled my bandana. Would you wear it?
While work is still underway looking for the best science to decontaminate used equipment, Tam has this message for the provinces and territories.
Certain things shouldn't be thrown away right now.
In his daily briefing to Canadians, the Prime Minister also commented on international competition for life-saving masks.
I am confident that we're going to be able to solve this.
Saying he hopes to convince the U.S. president that blocking exports of critically needed medical gear to Canada will harm both nations. I'm Karen Seolin.
For weeks following the closure of restaurants, truckers who do business on both sides of the border were having a hard time finding places to get food and to go to the washroom. But things are starting to turn around, says Dave Earle of the BC Trucking Association. He says thanks to apps exclusively for truckers, they can now get meals at major fast food joints.
North of the border, we've had some real successes with chains and different restaurants coming on board, recognizing the need for drivers to be able to stop, grab a bite to eat, wash their hands and face, and go to the bathroom.
However, he does say truckers continue to face challenges on that front south of the border. He says up until now, the trucking industry has been invisible. So it is gratifying to see truckers finally get recognition for what they do. You are listening to All News Radio, a national newscast.
When you need to know, now.
680news.com. Sweet dreams. Sleep tight. Rest well. Night-night. See you in the morning. Tomorrow's a new day. No matter how you say it, checking in on someone to say goodnight.
Sleep is the cousin of death. Fuck off.
So before you turn in tonight, call a friend or a loved one and let them know you're thinking of them. Sleep well and stay well. Sleep Country.
Yeah, I'm gonna do one of those things.
Does your credit card debt keep you up at night? I know mine did. Hi, I'm Adam, and 6 years ago, I was no different, so I started New Borrow. Our proven step-by-step system helps homeowners eliminate debt and save thousands, like Tina.
Now I sleep at night, my debts are paid off, and I only make one monthly payment.
Read hundreds of other 5-star Google reviews and apply today to start saving.
Use your home to get a loan with New Borrow. Visit newborrow.com. License 13115.
This is 680 News.
Toronto.
From the 680 News Traffic Center, I'm Michael Ranger. This report brought to you by 407 ETR. Well, very quiet drive this morning. 401, no problems in either direction all the way across the city. No lane restrictions, just one ramp closure to be aware of. Eastbound 401, the ramps to the 407 in either direction, they are shut down for overnight construction. And other than that, if you're out on the highways, it is a problem-free drive. Driving in or out of downtown on the Gardner, no issue. Same thing, 404 DVP, it's all up to speed. All other major routes are problem-free. 407 ETR thanks you for continuing to follow social distancing rules. Together we can beat the COVID-19 virus. 407ETR.com. Next report at 101. And now here's your forecast.
High of plus 12 on your Sunday with a 60% chance for some showers and a low of 8. Monday it warms up to plus 16. It's going to be rainy and windy though, a low of 0. Tuesday cools down to 7 degrees with a 40% chance for flurries. Your high for today is 12 degrees.
Now, coming up at the top of the hour on All News Radio, we'll have more on the rare weekend sitting of Parliament and how the $73 billion wage subsidy program has now been passed by the Senate and awaits royal assent. Reality has changed for many out of work, but also for those still required to come to work, such as cab drivers. Charles Sassy was speaking to a cab driver in Alberta who understands why his service is so important.
Sometimes they have to go see the doctors, they have to go see, the shopping. Our job is to pick them up and drop them off.
It's not only people the drivers are transferring.
Lots of deliveries from the hospital to hospital.
From plastic coverings to the continuous cleaning of vehicles, every time a passenger is inside, many drivers are doing what they can to stay safe. In Edmonton, passengers can no longer sit in the front seat of a cab, only the back. With all the precautions cities and vehicle for hire companies are taking, there's also some onus on the customer. Co-op taxi driver Mihir Dad Alizadeh urges those who are symptomatic to reconsider taking a cab. The city of Edmonton also requires any vehicle that provides service to a passenger who demonstrates COVID-19 symptoms to immediately be removed from service and thoroughly sanitized. From Edmonton, Cheryl Tasasky, City
But
News.
are your car washes open?
Are you using some of that extra time you have in self-quarantine cleaning out your closets? You're being asked, though, to hold on to your unwanted goods instead of dumping them off at charity donation bins.
Agencies like the Salvation Army, Value Village, Oasis Clothing Bank, and Diabetes Canada, for example, have all sealed off their donation bins, not accepting anything until further notice to help stop the potential spread of COVID-19. Some even don't have the staff now to use to go around and pick up the donations. Now, those with items to donate are being asked to store them at home until this crisis is over. I'm Carl Hansky.
There are new developments in the fight against COVID-19.
Stay in your house. What was hard to understand about that?
The new finding won't cure the disease, but it may help determine who and how many people can return to a normal lifestyle right away.
Said,
on the front lines of a key battle in the fight to get America back to work. A line of people in Northern California waiting for an antibody test to determine whether they've been exposed to the coronavirus without knowing it and may now be immune. The antibody testing in California, part of a USC Stanford study, requires just a drop of blood, a simple pinprick. They say it costs about $10, and results are available in about 10 minutes.
New York is also working on an antibody test, and the state's governor, Andrew Cuomo, is calling upon U.S. President Donald Trump to compel private labs to produce them.
Two
NASA astronauts will be returning to Earth next week. Todd Ant has those details.
Astronauts Jessica Meir and Andrew Morgan have been inside the International Space Station for more than half a year. They return to Earth next Friday, where everyday life is drastically changed.
Till everybody's dead,
then come back. To keep atop the pandemic news.
It's just hard for us really to understand what has transpired and how life will be different for us when we return to the Earth.
Dr. Meir is also preparing for a surreal return home.
It certainly will be very difficult for me to not be able to give some hugs to my family and friends.
Both Meir and Morgan agree to have plenty of experience when it comes to isolation. Todd Ant, ABC News.
You're listening to All News Radio.
Every time you spend breathing space with anybody ever with the CIBC Dividend Visa Infinite card. Every time, with no limit on how much you can earn. You even earn on your monthly subscriptions. And when it comes to those necessary purchases like gas and groceries, you get 4% cash back on eligible purchases. 4%. Plus, right now, your first year's annual fee is on us.
What's the usual annual fee?
CIBC Dividend Visa Infinite card. Conditions apply. Learn more at CIBC.com/cashback.
Of course, you always want to be there for your parents and
grandparents,
but when you can't be right there with them, Direct Alert by TELUS Health can be. This personal emergency response service gives your loved ones access to 24/7 support at the push of a button, and knowing they're taken care of takes some of the worry away. Direct Alert by TELUS Health is simple to install yourself, ships directly to you, and starts at $25 a month. Right now, you can save up to $180 a year on select plans. Visit directalert.ca for details.
You need to know
the latest breaking news, traffic, and weather.
Turn to 680 News.
Toronto.
Now time for the All News Radio Business Report. I'm Mike Apple. The investment professionals say it's good to have a financial advisor during the times of market volatility, helping you navigate the ups and downs of the market. This is where those fees are worth the money, if you're getting the advice that you're looking for. Kevin Mulhern is the CEO and co-founder of AdvisorStream, helping advisors engage with their clients. For the month of March, investor demand for advisor communication spiked by nearly 50%.
Even if you go back to 87, it was true then, and the tech bubble of 2000 and then October 2007. These are the times investors tend to not know what to do and to make knee-jerk reactions. It's these crisis points, if we want to call it that. This one really is. This is a double whammy on Canadian investors. They've got to deal with this health crisis and a huge, pain and stress on the economy. But then certainly if they're approaching
the economy is still going.
You do get worried.
Mulhern says that clients are looking for the latest information, either through email or over the phone.
Let's say the average advisor has about 250 clients. If you were trying to reach out to them weekly or even more frequently in some cases over the phone, the time demands on that are massive. A lot about that is one, they've got the phone ringing off the hook, and two, they want to be focusing in on those actual portfolios.
And for an advisor who's looking to expand the client base,
we saw the largest spike ever in lead capture. And in times of volatility, retention typically becomes what advisors laser focus on. They know their clients are worried. They know their clients want facts. But we are seeing two types of investors really put their hand up. And those are investors investors who may have never worked with an advisor. We're getting a lot of calls from people who've never worked with an advisor, finally realize it may make sense to get guidance. And then there's another type of investor, and that's the investors who may be with somebody, don't feel they're getting the contact they want, and may be looking for a new advisor. So
that's Kevin Mulhern, CEO and co-founder of Advisor Stream.
What did he say? New advisor?
In these times, keeping your lungs healthy is more important than ever before. And the Lung Health Foundation is here to help. Maybe you want to get your asthma under control, but your inhaler technique needs work. Or you
what I should have done, not caught COVID at 19.
Can help you manage breathlessness. Perhaps today you're finally ready to quit smoking or vaping. Certified respiratory educators are standing by for free confidential phone or chat sessions. Visit lunghealth.ca to get started today. Breathe easy. Lung Health starts now.
Yes.
Could you use $20,000? $30,000? How about $300,000? With a home equity loan from Capital Direct, the money you need, the money you could really use right now, is a simple phone call away. Compared to the banks these days, Capital Direct's lending criteria is not as strict. If you own property, Capital Direct can help. It's that simple. Call them today at 1-800-NEW-CAPITAL. CapitalDirect.ca.
680 News is CFTRAM.
Toronto
is Full News Radio.
I'm Josh Ritchie. You're listening to All News Radio National Newscast. Here's what's making news right now. The wage subsidy program is heading to the Senate. The $73 billion deal aimed at Canadian workers and businesses is becoming closer to becoming a reality. Ontario reported 31 new deaths Saturday, the deadliest so far. This as businesses there reach out to the Ontario government about helping manufacture supplies. And in a showing of national unity, the Alberta government is sending supplies to provinces in need to fight COVID-19.
With their work now thrust into the spotlight, a union says it's time for cleaning staff to get proper compensation and protections during the COVID-19
but all cleaning staff, not just you union bastards.
In sports, the hockey world mourns the passing of 25-year-old Edmonton Oiler Colby Cave after experiencing a brain drain for 15. And coming up in business, with the market ups and downs, how much advice are you getting from your financial advisor? Investors are clamoring for more information. A new study shows that communication is key for the industry.
More on these stories coming up in 1 minute on All News Radio.
From the 680 News Traffic Center, I'm Michael Ranger. This report brought to you by MyMuskokaCottages.com. Well, it's a quiet drive if you are out on the highways this morning. Looking at the camera right now, 401 at Bayview. There is some traffic out there, seeing a few cars on the road, but not a lot. Everything moving fine. All your major routes up to speed. Just one thing you'll want to take note of if you are out on the roads. Eastbound 401, the ramps to the 407, they are closed this morning, and it is for road work. Other than that, everything is up to speed, problem-free. Muskoka Realtor Bob Clark is unveiling $60 million worth of luxury lakefront cottages this spring. For galleries and virtual tours, visit MyMuskokaCottages.com. Next report is at 1:11. Now here's your forecast.
A daytime high of 12 degrees on your Sunday, so a couple of degrees warmer than our average high of just 10. There is a chance you're going to be seeing some on and off showers throughout the day. So if you are heading outside, make sure you grab your umbrella on the way out. You just might need it.
No,
your low, 8 degrees. Away. Your high for today, 12.
The Senate has passed a $73 billion wage subsidy program aimed at providing relief to workers and businesses hit by COVID-19 after the House of Commons approved the bill earlier Saturday evening. Conservative Senate leader Don Plett called for the bill to be passed on division in that chamber to indicate that there was some opposition to the measures. It is still waiting royal assent, and Jonathan Siegrist brings us more from Saturday's rare weekend sitting of Parliament.
Finance Minister Bill Morneau explained the legislation. Businesses, nonprofits, and charities, they're all able to apply for the Canada Emergency Wage Subsidy if they've seen a 15% reduction in revenues this March or 30% reduction in revenues in April or May. Organizations can get 75% of an employee's wages up to the first $58,700 of their salary covered by the federal government for 12 weeks.
That must have been your
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says it's the largest economic measures our country has seen since World War II. Even as we stand apart, we stand united. He's also promising the feds will keep working to make sure businesses and workers across the country get the support they need. I'm Jonathan Siegrist.
Some of the groups left out of the federal government's massive economic aid package were included this week when the Prime Minister announced some revisions. So what happened the first time? Curtis Doring is gathering some insights on emergency decision-making from someone who's been behind those closed doors.
Of course, there will be mistakes. I mean, that's inevitable.
Bob Rae has a lot of titles that begin with former. Ontario Premier, interim Liberal Party leader, member of Parliament. He says, well, he's had his share of 18-hour days. He's never had to deal with a health crisis and an economic crisis at the same time. And while the government can pre-plan to some extent, a lot of it is just improv.
You have to rely on the people who are actually inside the circle of government, who are doing the job and who are, able to, manage and are familiar with all of the competing messages that are coming in from so many different sources.
Rae adds the danger for leaders is to have that circle become too small, which may leave out critical perspectives. I'm Curtis Doring.
Oh, well, thank
Ontario suffered its deadliest day thus far, reporting 31 new deaths from the virus, bringing the total there to 253, as well as reporting an additional 411 cases. The Ministry of Health says that nearly 3,000 of the cases in that province are resolved, which is just over 40%. Now, this comes as Ontario Premier Doug Ford says 14,000 businesses in the province have reached out about helping manufacture supplies to help the fight against COVID-19. He says the community efforts have led the province to purchase $90 million worth of supplies, including millions of face masks and surgical gloves.
These are private citizens stepping up to get desperately needed equipment to our brave men and women in the front lines.
They make those
Ford said the province recently received a shipment of moldy swabs and said it's important to manufacture products in Ontario to ensure they are up to standard.
Who the fuck sent this moldy
Expanding
swabs?
support countrywide, Alberta is sending supplies to BC, Ontario, and Quebec to meet their ever-growing demand.
Almost, not like one was moldy.
Premier Jason Kenney announcing that N95 masks, gloves, goggles, and ventilators will be part of support packages sent out, noting that our own needs for this important equipment is and will continue to be met.
Information because they know we'll go fucking crazy on it. They know what we're like. Any other place in North America, they'll be like, oh, this company did it, and we're going to file a complaint. They don't publish that here because they know we'll go fucking crazy.
Because we are so well equipped, I am pleased to announce that we are able to contribute 750,000 N95 masks, 4.5 million procedural masks, and 30 million protective gloves to provinces that are right now in need.
On the state of COVID-19 in Alberta, there has been one additional death related to the virus. 69 new cases have also been confirmed. On Ryan Running Rabbit.
International border crossings are shut down to anyone who isn't deemed
the white guy
essential.
voice. You get applied for loans and shit
University of
until they
Calgary
ask you your
professor
name.
reports several provinces and territories are taking steps to monitor and restrict who's coming and going at their own
Sure,
borders.
what's your name?
Step
Oh,
many
you're not
provinces have
eligible.
taken, but UFC economist Trevor Tombe doesn't think there's a strong case to go any further in sealing the borders.
Those people crossing borders, they're not crossing to go skiing. They're crossing because, for the most part, they're truckers transporting vital goods and supplies and equipment, food in particular.
Whether provinces have the legal right to shut down borders is also up for debate. Section 6 of the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms allows for free movement, but given what's happening, that may not apply to people who just want to visit friends and family or go on vacation.
If health authorities feel that people are not staying home to the extent that they should, then that's a broader issue than border crossing specifically. And interprovincial trade is a federal jurisdiction. So
all they got to do is find one item that's still sealed and say, oh,
Meanwhile, in
trying to
Quebec,
sell
Premier
that
Francois Legault is assuring Quebecers that he won't reopen schools and daycares currently under a COVID-19 lockdown unless he gets an all-clear from health officials. Legault sought to calm parents who pushed back on comments that he made Friday that schools and daycares currently closed until May 4th could be up and running by then. Legault adds it's clear that some people will be reluctant to send their kids to school and daycare regardless of the timing.
But what I want to be clear about the reopening of schools is that it will not be done until we have first the agreement of the public health, and second, that I have personally the assurance that there's no risk for the children and for the teachers. So it's clear.
Quebec health officials announced 48 more COVID-19 deaths in the province on Saturday, bringing the total to 289. Meanwhile, in BC, the mayor of a town on Vancouver Island set up what he calls an information station outside the town this weekend to check on people on their way in. Renee Bernard is in Vancouver and says it seems some people were looking for a nice way to spend a long weekend in the midst of the pandemic.
The roadblock was manned by RCMP and Parks Canada on Thursday and Friday. Tofino Mayor Josie Osborne says they were asking the travelers where they were from and where they were going. Most of them, she says, were legitimate residents.
But there were a handful of second homeowners that were coming out to their properties, as well as some true tourists.
I'm here to drop off a big bag of money and leave with a big bag of
we're planning on coming out for the weekend.
She says quite a few of the visitors were convinced to turn around. She points out all of the areas parks are closed, and so are the accommodations and restaurants. I'm Renee Bernard.
With essential frontline work being thrust into the spotlight during the COVID-19 pandemic, unions say it's time for proper compensation. The value of cleaning staff is certainly apparent nowadays, but as Tom Ross reports, they may still be undervalued.
Invisible army, if you will, of workers.
Tom Gallivan is with the Service Employees International
Every time you
Union,
show someone a
which
garbage
represents
can,
around
he just
10,000
goes
workers
away.
in Canada. They
Away.
launched the Invisible to Essential campaign with several demands, including an immediate pay increase and guarantees their jobs are safe.
Cleaning workers are still largely at the bottom rung of society when it comes to wages and compensation. And if one thing has happened through this COVID-19 pandemic, is the value of the work that our members perform has really come into focus.
Along with the online petition, they're also asking employers to bring these requests in now. However, it has been with mixed results. Gallivan adds their work will continue to be very important once the crisis is over, and hopefully this drives a shift in public perception of the work. I'm Tom Ross. You're listening to All News Radio.
Hey guys, for this weekend only, Untuckit is having their Best of Spring promotion with 25% off all their spring favorites. It's never a good look when you untuck a long, bulky dress shirt, and that's why Untuckit makes shirts specifically designed to be worn that way. Untuckit offers 50 fit combinations, so tall, short, slim, and bigger guys can experience the perfect fitting shirt. And this weekend only, you can now get 25% off at untuckit.ca during their Best of Spring promotion. Use promo code BEST25 for 25% off. That's untuckit.ca. Code BEST25.
David Jones here from Hire the Gardener. COVID-19 has brought a lot of change. I hope you're coping well. Many have asked me if we're still open. Absolutely. The grass will
libraries,
still grow,
hospitals,
weeds will still need
buildings,
picking, and the gardener is still 100% committed to maintaining and beautifying the 24/7 view from your window.
Somebody.
You don't have to come near us, but you can definitely wave to us. Talk to us at hirethegardener.com. Take care of your home, and let's all take care of each other.
The Big Story. I'm your host, Jordan Heath Rawlings. Every day, we're giving you critical information on COVID-19. Listen at thebigstorypodcast.ca or wherever you get your podcasts.
From the 680 News Traffic Center, I'm Michael Ranger. New problem now, Burlington Skyway, Toronto bound. Stalled vehicle, crews on scene there in the right lane. You'll see the flashing lights as you go by this. Skyway's 4 lanes, so you still got 3 open left lanes that are wide open to get by. Not a lot of cars on the road, so everything remains up to speed going past this. Again, you'll just have to get out of that far right lane to go around. Other than that, not much to look out for. We do have one ramp shut down, eastbound 401 ramp to the 407, both eastbound and westbound. It is closed for overnight construction. All your other major routes are problem-free. Next report is at 1:21. Now let's take a look at the forecast.
A daytime high of 12 degrees on your Sunday, but there is a chance you're going to be seeing some wet weather throughout the day, a low of 8. Monday, it warms up to 16 degrees, quite a bit warmer than our average high of 10. It's going to be rainy and windy, though, a low of 0. Your high for today, though, it's 12 degrees.
You're listening to All News Radio. Sports leagues from around the continent are searching for ways to somehow resume play. Now, it appears the NHL is looking into finishing their season in one location, if they can even play
virtual golf.
Simon
Virtual
Bennett
golf.
is in Toronto.
Just everybody is now
we
a
haven't
virtual
heard the sound
golfer.
of this in a while. Do you believe this? Fans will take anything at this point. Kerry Kaplan, president of the ECHL's Brampton Beast, among those who will watch pretty much anything.
This morning and saw, I never knew there was something called marble racing.
Well, the NHL tries to come back. It might be in one location, and how's this for off the board? Sportsnet's Elliot Freeman reporting a place under consideration for this, the state of North Dakota. Now, discussions are very preliminary. Grand Forks has hosted big events like the World Juniors before. So many logistical issues have to be worked out, but it might appear up here playing games in one place, probably with no fans, might be the quickest path to resumption, even if it isn't until the summer.
So
I'm Simon Bennett.
It's so stupid.
You're listening to All News Radio, a national newscast.
You can't take 6 months off.
The latest traffic and weather is always every 10 minutes on the ones.
This is 680 News.
Something's always coming up. Home improvements, kids' education, car repairs, credit card bills. Maybe you even saw a real deal on an investment property. Well, don't wait for the money to fall from the sky. Call Northwood Mortgage and start taking care of business. Use your home to save money. Pay off your mortgage faster.
Shut it off and they're
See
gonna
why
fucking
Canadians have turned to Northwood Mortgage for over a quarter of a century. Visit NorthwoodMortgage.com. 10349.
Stop the spread. COVID-19 can be deadly. Everyone must do their part to stop the spread of COVID-19. Ignoring self-isolation or physical distancing advice can have devastating effects and endanger the lives of your family, your friends, and your neighbors. So do your part. Don't risk becoming a spreader. Stay home and save lives. For information, visit ontario.ca/coronavirus. Paid for by the Government of Ontario.
This is All
Just
News
to let you know who's running
I'm
the radio
Josh Ritchie.
station.
You're listening to a national newscast. Here's what's making news right now. The Senate has passed a $73 billion wage subsidy program aimed at providing relief to workers and businesses
Now the
hit by
Queen has to say
COVID-19.
it's okay.
Conservative Senate leader Don Plett called for the bill to be passed on division in that chamber to indicate that there was some opposition to the measures. The House of Commons approved the bill Saturday evening, also on division. It is still waiting royal assent. And Alberta Premier Jason Kenney says his province has more than enough protective masks, gloves, and ventilators for its own COVID-19 needs, so sharing some of its surplus with other provinces. Kenny made the announcement Saturday, where he noted that 9 warehouses are full of supplies. He says Ontario will receive protective masks, gloves, and ventilators. Quebec will receive masks and gloves, and British Columbia will get masks.
I'm Sam Pike with Sportsnet. The COVID-19 pandemic continues to plague the sports world with cancellations and suspensions as leagues and events try to limit spread of the virus. And for the freshly budding XFL, it could not have come at a worse time. The XFL, who only played 5 games of its 10 games scheduled, have announced the suspension of operations and have laid off its employees. Employees were made aware of the layoffs during Friday morning's in-house conference call. The 8 franchise league is backed by the WWE and canceled the remainder of its season a month ago due to the coronavirus. Although it promised to be back in 2021, the future of the league is now in doubt. And over in the world of Major League Baseball, the season is still yet to hit the green after COVID-19 precautions put a halt to opening day. Now anticipating a shortened season, one of the many proposals the MLB is reportedly considering is a divisional realignment that would get rid of the traditional American and National Leagues. According to USA Today's Bob Nightingale, all 20 teams would head back to their spring training sites in Florida and Arizona, and a new division would be created around the locations of the camps. Nightingale says the clubs would be allowed 3 weeks of training before a regular season starts between the Grapefruit League for the Florida-based camps and the Cactus League for those in Arizona.
Change those two to American and National. Let them argue over which one is
passing of Edmonton Oilers forward Colby Cave after he suffered a brain bleed earlier this week. The 25-year-old was placed in a medically induced coma and underwent emergency surgery to remove a cyst that was putting pressure on his brain. Edmonton Oilers president Ken Holland says Cave was a remarkable man and player.
When he was in the lineup, he did everything he could to help the team win. He was a true professional and a very well-liked and very well-respected player.
Cave scored once in 11 appearances with the Edmonton Oilers this season. Sports on the 15s and the 45s, really anytime at sportsnet.ca.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says even if every possible precaution is taken, the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic can get worse before they get better. Trudeau told the House of Commons that Canada's determination to fight the virus and the country's commitment to look out for one another might be put to the test. But he says that he believes Canadians are up to the challenge.
Even as we stand apart, we stand united in our resolve to do what we must
united in
until
our resolve.
COVID-19
Together.
is defeated.
This came as Parliament held their special sitting on Saturday on a holiday weekend to debate the government's emergency wage subsidy bill. Mayor John Tory has penned a letter urging police to write more tickets for people not practicing physical distancing in Toronto. Zahir Hashimi reports.
Despite all warnings from public officials, some people are still not getting the message. Stay home unless it's absolutely essential. Mayor John Tory is looking to tighten enforcement around his physical distancing bylaw with more ticketing, and he reiterated that sentiment in a letter sent to Police Chief Mark Saunders. In it, Tory says the city has received reports of people who don't live together hosting bonfires on the beach, hanging out in groups in parking lots, and playing pickup sports in closed areas. Constable Edward Parks with Toronto Police says they're ramping up efforts to ensure this behavior is reduced in the city.
So we're going to have 200 bylaw officers, 160 members of the Toronto Police Service, the primary response units, community response units, neighborhood officers, mounted unit, the marine unit. They'll be working in concentrated areas
even the
throughout
boats.
the city.
So to be clear, people are allowed to go on walks, but people who don't live together seen standing closer than 2 meters apart in public areas can be fined up to $1,000. I'm Zahir Hashimi.
If you don't know the rules, you better learn now or it could cost you. This is coming out as Mounties are taking their own steps to ensure people are following quarantine measures. The Quarantine Act will give officers the right to check in with recent travelers, fine or even jail people who fail to comply. But Sarah Lehman, a criminal defense lawyer, says jail time may actually pose a greater threat to the rapid spread of the virus.
No, lock them in a cell immediately.
Advocates and lawyers such as myself are encouraging the authority to release nonviolent offenders and asking that we actually use jail as a very last alternative or option in terms of enforcing any of our laws, including this one.
Failure to comply with the act could lead to fines of up to $750,000 or 6 months in jail. You're listening to All News Radio.
They got the fucking units with no corrections officers on them.
680 News.
Introducing Irwin's new command lock take measures, built for extra control with a finger brick, up to 14-foot reach, and a high-contrast DuPont Mylar film-coated white blade. Plus, it comes in a high-impact resistant case. When every quarter-inch matters, these tapes are designed with your job in mind. New Irwin command lock tapes, built for the trades. Available only at Canadian Tire stores across Canada. Find out more at irwintools.ca.
I'm here with Bill Coy of Coy Brothers, and we're talking about Coy Brothers 1 and Coy Brothers 2.
One's bricks and mortar, and the second is our online store.
Oh,
I hear both are equally as great, except if I shop online, I can't see you, Bill.
That's a shame. But online, we're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We offer the largest selection of power equipment around.
What about work gloves and safety glasses?
Yes, sir, and brand names you love.
Like Stihl and Kubota, all from Coy Brothers.
KOOYBROS.com.
This is All News Radio.
On 680 News.
From the 680 News Traffic Center, I'm Michael Ranger. Burlington Skyway, Toronto bound. That's where we've got a stalled vehicle in the right lane. Cruiser on scene. Initially, just the one right lane was blocked. We've got another tow truck showing up now, so 2 right lanes are blocked. It's 4 lanes going over the Skyway, so you've still got the 2 left lanes to get by, and not a lot of cars on the road, so everything remains up to speed going past this. Again, just watch out for that. You're going to have to get out of the 2 right lanes, move over into one of the 2 left lanes to get around it. No delays past this issue. Other than that, just looking at one ramp closure for road work, eastbound 401 ramp to the 407, both eastbound and westbound shut down for construction. Next report is at 1:31. Now let's take a look at the forecast.
A daytime high of 12 degrees on your Sunday with a 60% chance for some showers throughout the day. A low of 8. Monday, it warms up to plus 16, quite a bit warmer than our average high of just 10. But it's going to be rainy and windy. Tuesday, it cools down to just 7 with a 40% chance for flurries. Your high for today, 12 degrees.
Coming up at the bottom of the hour on All News Radio, we'll have more on the rare weekend sitting of Parliament and how the $73 billion wage subsidy program has now been passed by the Senate and awaits royal assent. Many businesses have had to adapt during this pandemic, with places like farmers markets having to stay open because they are considered essential. But many of them are eerily quiet due to physical distancing and capacity rules. Charlotte Saskew is in Edmonton and reports that one group working at a farmer's market there have come up with a way to bring the farmer's market to you.
Vendor Steven Sudo says because less people are showing up at the markets, he's seen a significant decline in sales.
We're trying not to stress out about it, but internally we are. On the outside, we're trying to pretend like it's fine.
But we don't know. We don't know what the future's going to bring.
Pseudo and his brother Daniel sell fruit from their family farm in British Columbia at farmers markets here in Alberta. To help their business during these uncertain times, they came up with the idea to create an online market.
It was more of a backup in regards of if markets go under, we need a way to figure out to sell our product, or else we're going to be in serious trouble and we're going to go under.
Once someone puts in an order, Pseudo says he will have it delivered within a few days to a week. He also tells me they're planning to eventually offer curbside delivery as well. Currently, there are 11 vendors, including Pseudo, that are signed up for the online farmers market. He says the plan is to grow it and keep adding more local businesses. Charolta Saskew, City News.
With allergy season in full swing, many are wondering, are my symptoms just allergies or COVID-19 related? Madison Fitzpatrick lets us know how you can spot the difference.
Watery eyes, coughing, and a runny nose, all symptoms common with seasonal allergies, but now they're all associated with COVID-19. Health specialists say the biggest difference between the two is a fever. It's also helpful to understand what the symptoms are for COVID-19, the common cold and flu, and seasonal allergies. According to public health, common symptoms for COVID-19 include fever, dry cough, difficulty breathing, diarrhea, and the loss of taste and smell. Symptoms of seasonal allergies, however, include sneezing, runny nose, coughing, and itchy eyes. If you're still unsure, the two leading signs of COVID-19 are fever and the shortness of breath, and congestion is minimal. And when it comes to allergies, there's often much more congestion and sneezing. Officials say you should consider how long your symptoms last. Seasonal allergies typically last the whole season, while COVID-19 symptoms often last between 1 and 4 weeks. I'm Madison Fitzpatrick.
It's 25 minutes past the hour. You're listening to All News Radio, a national newscast.
You've suffered from anxiety and depression during this pandemic, and now your claim for disability is denied. My name is Aaron Waxman, and during this pandemic, we are open and working for our clients from our homes. If your disability claim is denied for any reason, call me at 416-661-4878 or pound LTD on your cell phone. And before you call, you should always remember that there are no bad questions. 416-661-4878 or pound LTD.
A message from Canadian Blood Services. Reason number 2 to join Canada's Lifeline. Donated blood lasts no longer than 42 days. That's why we need donors every day. There are lots of reasons to donate blood. Book now at blood.ca.
Tomorrow, next week, and next month, the need for blood is constant. Check your eligibility to donate and book now at blood.ca. Canadian Blood Services. Together, we are Canada's Lifeline.
The big story. I'm your host, Jordan Heath Rawlings. If the COVID-19 headlines are too fast, we can slow you down. Listen at the bigstorypodcast.ca or wherever you get your podcasts. Now time for the All News Radio Business Report.
I'm Mike Apple. The investment professionals say it's good to have a financial advisor during the times of market volatility, helping you navigate the ups and downs of the market. This is where those fees are worth the money, if you're getting the advice that you're looking for. Kevin Mulhern is the CEO and co-founder of AdvisorStream, helping advisors engage with their clients. With the month of March, investor demand for advisor communication spiked by nearly 50%.
Even if you go back to 87, it was true then, and in the tech bubble of 2000 and then October 2007. These are the times investors tend to not know what to do and to make knee-jerk reactions. It's these crisis points, if we want to call it that. This one really is. This is a double whammy on Canadian investors. They've got to deal with this health crisis and a huge, pain and stress on the economy. But then certainly if they're approaching that retirement age, you do get worried.
Mulhern says the clients are looking for the latest information, either through email or over the phone.
Let's say the average advisor has about 250 clients. If you were trying to reach out to them weekly or even